Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full-line merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed-out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Yo, welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. I'm Jeff Iafrate, your host. Alongside me, my guy, as usual, Flannel Sam. Sam, how you doing this morning? It's preseason day for the Lions.
It is a preseason day. It is game day, boys.
Game day.
That's why I'm
Game
wearing
day.
my Honolulu blue flannel, and I may have a little surprise later on in the show. It's a great day, guys. Every time I come in here, like I always say, the boys just give me that juice. Even if I'm a little tired, these early mornings can be a little bit of a grind, but every time I come in here, it's like just a shot of like adrenaline
Shot
right
of that
here.
Kool-Aid.
Shot of that
it is.
Kool-Aid, absolutely.
It's that Honolulu Blue
Yes.
Kool-Aid. That's
Yes,
what it's
sir.
about. And filling in for JB today, we got the GOAT, Matt Broder. Look at him, Woodward Sports merch. Broder, you'll be out in the press box today for the preseason game against the Giants. We'll be out there as well. The boys are rolling out. We'll try to meet up with you. And anybody who's down there, I mean, if you catch us, come say hi to us. It'll be a lot of fun. Lucas in the TD booth on the ones and twos, holding
Jeff,
it down
we get
for
to
us.
watch Sam Laporta today.
Oh,
In person.
you know it. You know it. And you got the Barry Sanders jersey on.
yeah.
Like, come on, man. It's going to be a good day.
We got to respect the GOAT at all times.
You know what? Hold on. I'm missing something. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go! Come on.
It's always the let's go.
Let's go!
Let's go.
Let's go! All right. So, just had to make sure we get the Lions helmet on the desk there. We got to get the right theme
stuff,
for
man.
today. That's what it's all
Good
about,
stuff.
ladies and gentlemen. All right, lot to get to today. Clearly, a lot of Lions as well. But I want to kind of go over some of the preseason action we saw last night because I know Lucas is foaming at the mouth to talk about C.J. Stroud and his interception.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
baby.
gosh.
C.J. Stroud was cooking, people. One drive last night, 2 for 4 passing, 13 yards,
Okay.
1 interception, 1 sack, 0 touchdowns with a 17.7 QBR. I mean, hate to say I told you so.
Oh,
Oh my God. Okay. All right. If you want to use the man's first preseason game as evidence, go ahead. I think honestly though, okay, here we go. What is this? CJ Stroud when he doesn't have 4 first-round receivers to throw to and the defense isn't a bunch of future car salesmen.
oh my
Brock
goodness.
Osweiler. Brock Osweiler.
Dude, what?
Stop.
Just saying. Listen, Jeff, me and you kind of got into it.
Osweiler?
Let's think about this, like, for real. The Houston Texans just took C.J. Stroud at pick number 2, correct?
Yes.
The Indianapolis Colts this year took Anthony Richardson at what, 5? 4 or 5?
4. Oh,
4?
yeah.
So, and then 2 years ago, we saw Trevor Lawrence go number 1 overall.
100%.
So the AFC South just saw Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. I'm not even going to talk about Will Levis just because I don't think he's going to work. But I'm going to argue, I think Anthony Richardson's going to work in Indianapolis.
Of course you do.
Well,
Of course
listen,
you do.
listen,
Yeah, of
listen,
course.
I'm saying not rookie year, C.J. Stroud will probably be better. But you're drafting Anthony Richardson to be good in year 3, not his rookie year. You're relying on him to be, you're going to take what you get year 1, build on it. Take what you get year 2, build on it. And year 3, you're trying to perfect it. And by that time, he already has Alec Pierce. They took Josh Downs in the draft. They have Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and they have Shane Steichen, who literally is not the single reason, but Jalen Hurts, a lot of his development goes towards Shane Steichen's credit. And then they have a better defense than Houston right now. Can they build on it? Can that change?
Yep.
Yes. But my whole point is Trevor Lawrence is no doubt going to be better than C.J. Stroud, and they're already building a contender.
Oh, that's fair.
Indianapolis, they easily could turn into one if Anthony Richardson is going to work out, which I think he is. So you just took C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall, who's going to be the 3rd best quarterback in your division most likely, when you could have waited and took in Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Penix next year. And that's why it's just like, if C.J. Stroud would have went like 7th, 8th overall, I wouldn't be tweaking. Because that's where he probably would be. But to take C.J. Stroud 2 overall, when Houston's not going anywhere this year, they're not going anywhere next year, so you're settling for C.J. Stroud, and in the next couple of years, he's going to want money, and you have Will Anderson, Tank Dell's probably going to be something, and then the talent that you're going to put around him.
Well,
it makes no sense to me. The most pro-ready quarterback year 1 does not mean he's the best quarterback in the draft.
No, but he has the lowest floor, I would argue. And if you're taking a guy at 2 and you're Houston and they need a quarterback and they traded up to get Will Anderson, like, you can love Anthony Richardson all you want. Like, he's a big if too. And like, I don't get how the logic with Anthony Richardson, you're like, well, year one, you know, he's going to struggle, but year two, you're hoping year three he turns into. What about CJ Stroud? Can he not do that? Have that same projection?
So what do you expect?
You expect CJ to come out?
CJ Stroud is the most pro-ready quarterback. What does that mean? He can now come into the NFL week one and be the most similar quarterback to the other pro quarterbacks out there. What is CJ Stroud seriously going to take a dramatic jump in year one to year three to year five to make him something completely different than when you drafted him? Because at the end of the day, he's going to have the same play style his whole career. Anthony Richardson, I understand he could not work. But when you talk about you're going to pass up on potentially taking Caleb Williams next year, Houston could have easily had the one pick if they just kind of let it go for another year. Just grab a Teddy Bridgewater, do something like that, and let it roll into next year. And so this is like, it just doesn't make sense. I think it's bad management. You're putting CJ Stroud in a bad spot, and he's never been in a bad spot before. And that's what really breaks it down for me. This man has never faced adversity once in his career. And now he's going to face adversity on the highest level, week 1 through 17, and you're going to expect him to perform? I don't think so.
Well, that's the adjustment. That's the adjustment period. That's why I'm not overreacting. Like, this is a guy who, again, throughout in his entire career at college, never was barely pressured until he faced Michigan. He was never pressured. He had wide receivers, first-round wide receivers that were open most of the time, and he had the best player in college football, Marvin Harrison Jr., on his team. So, like, that's the adjustment period for him. Now you're going to Houston, who just had the number 2 overall pick in one of the worst situations in the NFL. I think it'd be ridiculous to react to one game or react to this season.
This is just like my whole point about Stroud in general.
Yeah, and you've been consistent with that.
Yeah, this is just this interception literally just would not change my opinion at all.
And again, that's fair because you've been consistent with Stroud. You're not a Stroud fan. That's fine. I like Stroud. I like him better. Anthony Richardson has a higher ceiling, but if I'm a GM and I'm banking on a quarterback working out, I'm not taking Anthony Richardson. Like, I'd rather take a guy I know at least will be solid and has upside to be even better, and CJ Stroud. Anthony Richardson, like, dude, talk about a bust alert. Like, Anthony Richardson has a higher bust percentage than CJ Stroud.
You're correct if you go just looking at him by player, but then you slide him into the situation. I understand Jonathan Taylor's not there right now, but he most likely will be. If not, they're going to get a return for him back. Even if they don't, they have a very solid O-line. They have Michael Pittman, a very good wide receiver. Josh Downs, who is a very good wide receiver at UNC, is going to be a slot guy, rookie that Anthony Richardson can develop with. And Alec Pierce, compared to John Mechie, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Tank Dell. What? Yeah, like, you're giving the most pro-ready quarterback less weapons, and you're going to give the quarterback that has more ceiling more to develop with.
See, I think you could argue that
that's why I'm leaning Anthony Richardson.
I think the Texans' pass-catching weapons, maybe besides for Michael Pittman, could actually be better because you did leave off one name, and that is Dalton Schultz. I'm not saying that Dalton Schultz is like a top.
My bad.
You know what? He's a top 10 tight end in the NFL right now. I would say top 10 is fair. It's just I kind of agree with Jeff on this one. The one point that I will give you, Lucas, is that I think that Shane Steichen is a better coach for a rookie quarterback.
Offensive coach, too.
An offensive coach than instead of being in that system with D'Amico Ryan, who I think is a good defensive mind, but I have some questions about being a defensive coach. It's just that Anthony Richardson, I'm not a fan of quarterbacks who didn't produce in college. He was never one time good at throwing the football in college. He was a 53% completion percentage guy, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks at least, and I get it, Ohio State situation was better. CJ Stroud was a Heisman finalist and threw over 40 touchdown passes and single-digit interceptions 2 years in a row.
What about the game against Georgia?
He was phenomenal.
Most NFL players on that defense, and he still tore them apart.
I'd say that was some adversity, Lucas.
There's adversity, just like the week before where he faced adversity in Ann Arbor, and he lost. He looked scared. He looked like a deer in headlights, just like he did the year before. And that's fine. I'm happy he can beat up on the great teams with literally 4 first-round wide receivers. He's going to have probably 4 or 5 first-round linemen in front of him because this year they'll get drafted, some too. And he's got solid defense against mid-DBs, and then when he finally goes against a true team, he's 0-. Well, you can call Utah when Jackson Smith-Njigba had like 300 yards in that game, and most of them were yards after catch, and he was also wide open, being schemed on crossers. But if you seriously go back, like if you put C.J. Stroud in Florida, think they're winning games? Do you think they're going to be a successful program?
Oh, I think he plays better than Anthony Richardson.
They might produce better, but I'm saying,
absolutely.
Do you think he's going to be a first-round pick if he's playing at Florida, just how he is? Because you're relying strictly on his stats.
No, it's not. But dude,
but the pro ready, when you look at it,
but look, it's not even just stats. Like Joe Klatt, someone that I respect, when he talks about CJ Stroud, he has the most ready NFL arm out of anybody. And he showed that in college. So if he had that at Florida, yes, he would be a first-round pick.
So that's what I'm saying. You're basing C.J. Stroud on what he can do for you basically year one, because it's going to be very similar. You're expecting pretty much the same thing out of C.J. Stroud. He's going to get a little bit better, a little bit better, but you're not seeing a jump. If you're in Houston, you need a quarterback that can give you a jump. And if not, it's not going to work out.
Okay, well, that's how Lucas feels about C.J. Stroud. He's been consistent. I like C.J. Stroud. I think Anthony Richardson is, if you talk about a boom or bust guy, Anthony Richardson could be the best quarterback out of this class, and he could easily be a bust. So, like, that's the chance you take. And, again, it's different when GMs have their name on the line. You're taking a quarterback. When you take a quarterback, when you draft a quarterback, like, you're immediately on the clock. Yes. Like, that's how this works. Typically, you don't get another chance in Arizona where you go Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray. And now it looks like Kyler Murray didn't work out as much as they hoped, and now GMs are fired. Now they got a new regime in there. So you're on the clock when you draft a quarterback. So I get what you're saying, but to say, like, oh, yeah, I would have taken Anthony Richardson, like, it takes nuts to take a guy like that. And Irsay did it. And Shane Steichen, I think, for a situation, to your point, Lucas, he's with one of the better offensive minds in the entire NFL. So he has that going for him. If C.J. Stroud struggles, I'm not going to say, well, Stroud's a bust. I'm going to say, well, damn, Houston's a rough situation. Like, telling you right now, you put C.J. Stroud on the Colts, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. Anthony Richardson on the Texans, and we can have a different conversation.
I completely agree.
Because it'd be D'Amico Ryans coaching Anthony Richardson. So
you're completely
situations matter. We shall see. We'll revisit this. But we got to see some preseason action last night, Vikings and Seahawks. And then, of course, as you alluded to already, Patriots and the Texans. So it was nice to watch some football. You know, we're going to get some Lions football today. And a quick little question. I'm going to go to Broder on this. And, let's just stay on the C.J. Stroud stuff because we got 2 minutes here, and then we'll get into Lions and finish out with Lions. What'd you think of C.J. last night, or just watching preseason football? Anything stand out to you?
Let me just play some background music for this.
Oh, jeez. Michigan man. I forgot.
C.J. Stroud heard
Michigan man.
I think C.J. Stroud's going to be fine. He looked all right last night. He looked like a rookie. So I think Anthony Richardson, to me, is in a better position to come into the NFL and play quarterback, but I'm really not worried about C.J. Stroud. But at the same time, I am, and it's not my Michigan connection. I don't like drafting Ohio State quarterbacks for a lot of the reasons Lucas brought up. So he's a to be determined for me still.
No, I think that's fair. And also, Eric says you're on the clock when you draft a top half quarterback. Yes, that's what I mean. Like a top 5, top 10, you're drafting in the top 10, you're on the clock. Not Hendon, obviously. Yeah. Like, if Hendon doesn't work out, Brad's fine. Like, it is what it is. The Cowboys, when they took Dak, if Dak didn't work out, they're fine. Mm-hmm. Now, if you take a guy, or Lamar for the Ravens, if he didn't work out, they took him in the back half of the first round. But, the Cleveland Browns taking Baker, your ass is on the hot seat there, no doubt about it. I want to get into, when we get into the preseason next segment, so stick with us. I want to discuss who we're excited to see the most. The rookies. You'll get a little bit of the starters. I don't know who will be out, who will be playing. I'm assuming the older guys will not be playing at all. But still, you get a chance to see the rookies, which is always nice. We'll talk about that when we get back. But before we do that, today, Hazel Park at Dispo. You're going to want to be there. Ermanni and Edwards and the heavyweights are down there celebrating. Again, for Dispo, they have over 12 locations, and one of them being in Hazel Park. Check them out. That is DISPOshops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Again, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, hit the like button. We'll try to get to 50 likes by the end of this segment. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? That's my question for you. But again, if you can't watch the show live, you can always go back and re-listen to any podcast platform you have where you get your podcast. Morning Woodward Show. Leave a 5-star review because Lucas needs it right now. He's a little heartbroken. CJ Stroud.
I'm happy.
Oh, he's happy. He's speaking from the soul.
I'm definitely not giving CJ Stroud a 5-star review after last night. Maybe Malik Cunningham. I don't know if you guys saw him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought him up. That's a guy, and by the way, this happened with Lamar too, and he stuck to his guns. Hey man, change to wide receiver. And he's like, no, I'm gonna play quarterback.
Yeah.
And Malik Cunningham, same thing. They tried to get him to play wide receiver. I thought he switched to wide receiver.
He said
and then he played quarterback.
He'll do whatever the team needs him to do. Belichick gave him a chance last night to play quarterback, and he performed very well.
Yeah, trust me, I like Malik Cunningham, man. Like, check his numbers at Louisville. Like, he put up numbers, no doubt about it. Let's get into some lines, though. Preseason action today to take on the Giants at Ford Field, 7 o'clock p.m. You get to watch that. I guess the question I have, and I'll go around the room in this, and please feel free to chime in the chat. I'll try and get to as many comments as I can. Who are you excited to see, offensively, defensively? Doesn't have to be players, but maybe scheme. What are you looking to see? And I'll start with you, Sam Flannel. What are you excited to see tonight?
Well, obviously the rookies. I'm not going to take a whole lot in terms of preseason because I'm going to be consistent. I don't take a whole lot of credence in what CJ Stroud did last night because it was preseason. I'm not going to crown or condemn any rookies if they either perform or don't because it's preseason, but I just want to see if it looks like they belong on an NFL field. When you look at least the first four, all the first and second round picks for the Detroit Lions this year, everything that I've seen and heard out of camp from guys like Matt Broder or Gabrielle D. Phillips is that they look like they belong on an NFL field. You've seen almost nothing but positive things, and I want to see how that translates to an actual preseason game because even though it's preseason, I think it is a different environment and maybe a little bit of added pressure. But there's one position group, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, that I think could have some interesting battles, and that is, of course, the wide receivers. Because, and Broder, you can either confirm or deny this, but a couple of the people that I think have gotten maybe less than glowing reviews, maybe Antoine Green, Denzel Mims, Josh Reynolds. I haven't heard super positive things about those guys, as opposed to a guy like Dylan Drummond, who's getting rave reviews, but was an undrafted afterthought who was basically expected to do nothing, but he might take someone's job. I mean, am I off base in anything that I just said about the wide receivers?
No.
Obviously, Josh Reynolds is probably guaranteed a roster spot because he is, I think, a perfect number 3 receiver with Jared Goff as the quarterback. But I'm just looking to see who makes the team and who doesn't, because I think Antoine Green and Denzel Mims might be on red alert, and they might lose their roster spot to an undrafted guy who was mid at Eastern Michigan. Hey, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
I don't know, but it sounds like a little slap.
Yeah, it's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, backhanded compliment for sure.
But to Sam's point, though, like, this is the part in time where you look at guys, because and Broder could speak to this too. He's going to be covering the Lions this year. Like, this is the time you get to evaluate guys to when there are injuries. You have a sample size of these guys playing. Like, Dylan Drummond will be able to actually play in games, right? When you see him in training camp and he's playing well, he's catching everything, you're like, wow, Dylan Drummond looks really good. And then you get to see him out in preseason, and you're like, you know what? If there is an injury, that guy can play. He can play. Maybe, he ain't going to come out and be Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you get the point. Dylan Drummond can be solid. The one thing, though, you can't fall too in love with players, because I remember Trinity Benson tore up preseason. Remember that? Last year, I believe it was, or 2 years ago. Trinity Benson was the talk of preseason.
That's your boy.
Yeah. He was the talk of preseason.
Brad Holmes. DJ Chark.
Okay. Yeah, here we go with the DJ Chark stuff. He was the talk of preseason. Brad traded for him, and he... yeah, that was the end of Trinity Benson. So you can't overreact. You got to find like a balance, right, Broder, between those two things. It's like evaluating some of the guys that won't play but could play if there's injuries, getting a look at the rookies, of course, but then there's the other part where it's like you can't overreact, because I know the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid is flowing through the veins right now.
100%. And that, that wide receiver competition between Mims, Antoine Green, Dylan Drummond, that's one of the position groups that I'm going to be watching too. And I think Denzel Mims has the most on the line, because I don't think the practice squad's an option for him, because if he makes the 53-man roster after the preseason, that cost us a draft pick in our trade with the Jets. So he's got to really perform significantly above Antoine Green and Dylan Drummond to get that 53-man spot. Saying that, I think he does have the body, the physicality, the attributes that the Lions want in that position, but Dylan Drummond, out of the three, has performed the best all camp. So it's going to be really interesting to see him in live gameplay, how he does everything else besides catch the ball, and then how he catches the ball against the Giants tonight.
If I had to say one thing I'm excited to see, and I'll let everybody kind of go give a player, and I know Sam kind of already alluded to who he wants to see, but at least for me, I want to see this defensive line, the depth, more so Broderick Martin, the big boy. If he's going to be out there, I want to see Broderick a lot. Like, I want to see this man actually playing on a field in preseason. It'll get a little taste of what's to come and what we're working with right now with Broderick Martin. But another guy is Levi Onwuzurike. I think you can laugh all you want. You can laugh all you want,
Not
Lucas.
laughing at you.
But I got to see. I have not seen Levi Onwuzurike in over a year. Like, I want to see Levi. So, again, for me, it's the defensive line depth. That's what I'm keying in on. And, of course, the rookies are a positive. But, Lucas, tell me why you're going to be watching Laporta.
Why I'm going to be watching Laporta
I'm
more
kidding.
so. But obviously, yes, I'm excited to watch Laporta. But two other things I'm really excited to see. One is Mo Ibrahim. I think, especially
Ibrahim.
Especially with him or with Justin Jackson retiring yesterday, I think it's going to be real interesting to see what Ibrahim turns out to, and I'm really interested to see what packages Aaron Glenn kind of rolls out with the DBs. If he's going to go 2 safety, 3 safety, just the packages that he does, and then just to go along with that Starling Thomas too. I think that would be a real fun one to see, especially because, like we said all week, the Giants receivers core, there's nothing really too exciting to get like there's no wow factor with the Giants receiving core. So I think that's a good opportunity to show what he's truly about, and really get a chance to make a roster spot.
I'm going to get people are chiming in here. Wavy says Trey Quinn, the new TK85. Trey Quinn.
Oh, yeah, Flannel. What do you think about? We never even got a Trey Quinn opinion out of you, I think.
He will join Tom Kennedy in the ranks of, from this day forward, never catching an NFL pass in a regular season game. If Trey Quinn dominates the preseason, it is what it is. But you know what? People just really want to latch onto these folk heroes. It's a sickness. You guys literally have a sickness.
I see. I'm seeing a lot of Gibbs in here as well. Herb Nash, Broderick Martin, Levi. I see. Also some Jack Campbell in there as well. Jack Campbell's going to be a good one to watch.
That linebacker group, that's one of the positions we're going to see a starter in the regular season play a lot of minutes tonight, whether that's Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, or Malcolm Rodriguez. That's a good battle to watch.
Oh, and we didn't even think J-Mo's going to be playing a lot tonight. Most likely. They're going to be running him through the preseason.
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Jameson would be like
I'm excited.
Jameson, I think, obviously, I'm excited to see Jameson as well. I think that's a good one. Joseph Roberts. Ironic the squad refers to anyone as mid while offering third-string Wayne's World quality takes in small market Detroit. Joseph Roberts, who hurt you? Like, here, put the camera on me for a second. Let me talk to my man right now. Okay, Joseph, are you good?
Is everything okay?
Is everything okay? I'm just checking on you, man. That's what we do. You know, we're checking on our friends. I'm just making sure you're okay. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
There's a couple people in the chat who are very, very upset with me for saying that Dylan Drummond was mid at Eastern Michigan, especially Dave Schultz and who's that other guy? Shad21F6JF. Shad does not like me. He always posts like bad things about me. It's almost at the point now where you guys must have something, and maybe I'm thinking too high of myself, called Flannel Sam derangement syndrome. Because are you really upset for a guy at Dylan Drummond? Here, let me read what Dave Schultz said. He's really, really caping up for Eastern Michigan football. Flannel, quit bashing EMU football. EMU has had some great pros, i.e. TJ Lang and Max Crosby. Well, first of all, TJ Lang and Max Crosby were 4th-round draft picks. Dylan Drummond was undrafted. He basically had to go audition himself for a job, and he's showing out in training camp. I will give him that. But, and I got to do this again, Dylan Drummond's career high in receiving yards at Eastern Michigan in a season was 703, and last year he had 525. If I'm just saying, is that relatively mid? And and Shad, I gotta read Shad's comment too. Sam is actually slow. Watch film instead of being lazy and running to the stats, guys. Dylan Drummond was undrafted for a reason. He did not dominate at Eastern Michigan University. He wasn't like what Corey Davis did at Western or Greg Jennings back in the day. And I know those guys are outliers, but still, calling Dylan Drummond mid at Eastern Michigan has nothing to do with him maybe making this team. He's done a lot with that opportunity, but in no way, shape, or form should you die on the hill of Eastern Michigan football and Dylan Drummond's production at Eastern Michigan. None of you watched him play there. Come on, stop lying.
Jake says Wayne and Garth are elite. No shame being third string behind them. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate you. Love that. Jay Will fan, he needs a hug, Jeff. And Sam, I agree. Drummond is mid.
Sam's not even saying that Drummond's mid right now. He was just saying in college.
Hoop-Hearted said, I have FSDS, Flannel Sam derangement syndrome.
Hoop-Hearted is cool.
I love it. And again, for everybody, and we kind of got off track a little bit because now we're on Dylan Drummond, but I just want to go around and kind of talk, because everyone mentioned who they want to see specifically. Do you have any updates, Matt, from being there? Like, who's going to play more than others? Who's not playing? Like, are we going to see the starters? How long? Did they say anything about that?
They didn't. And even when who was it giving their press conference Wednesday after practice? Might have been Taylor Decker. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering, but they said they didn't even know at that time how much time they'd be getting out there. So I don't expect the first team to play more than a quarter. It might be only a series or two.
I'll take it.
I'm assuming, real quick, Broder, I'm assuming no golf tonight.
They haven't even announced that either.
Wow.
My guess is we do see him for a series or two, just to kind of go through, get that the game day routine down.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
I wish Hendon was healthy.
I know.
Like, this would be the opportunity, man, to see him out there.
But you get a lot of Sudfeld and a lot of Martinez.
I didn't even think about Adrian Martinez playing football tonight, man.
How about this, though? Since
Adrian
2010,
Martinez,
each year,
dude.
the Lions have had an undrafted free agent on the 53-man roster to start week one. I think it's 22 total. So they do value undrafted free agents, and those guys actually make the team. So we're talking about Dylan Drummond, Starling Thomas, maybe Stephen Gilmore. There's a handful of UDFAs who have a chance.
Yeah, and Brad has shown, man, he finds talent in the draft. He finds talent outside of the draft. He finds talent at the grocery store. The guy finds talent everywhere. So, Brad Holmes, he's damn good at what he does. Jake says, I think no starters, but because of JMO, I think we see him in Goff at least one series. That's a great point. JMO will be out there, so you'd think, hey, Jared plays a quarter. You get those guys playing together in a game. I'm curious how much we get of Gibbs.
Yeah.
Because for a guy like Gibbs who, and again, I guess it's just a fear of mine that he's going to get injured. Just because, again, he's 5'9", 200 pounds. I'm not saying he's injury prone, but that is a fear of mine. Gibbs is a weapon.
Jeff scared again.
No, it's because we had to deal with Swift. All right? I had to deal with Swift for years.
Yeah, post-Swift syndrome.
It is. You could call it DeAndre Swift derangement syndrome, whatever you want to call it. But I do have a fear that Jameer will be injured. So I want that man to put him in bubble wrap until the season, and then we can unleash him, because the speed, he'll be fine. Well, yeah. But you'd like to see him out there, of course. No. I want to see him catching passes. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you having injury concerns about an NFL running back, especially one, although he's not going to be a bell cow, that is relatively undersized, at least in terms of being an NFL running back. And running backs, you know how it is. They just take a lot of punishment, no matter who you are, especially if you get quite a bit of usage and a lot of snaps. So there's actually one more thing that I wanted to talk about that I'm curious about. And Broder, maybe you can answer this too, because you've been there every day, just in the trenches, everything. So Derek Barnes, I know we think that the linebacking, the top three are going to be in no particular order: Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez. Is there any chance that Derek Barnes maybe usurps one of them on the depth chart at some point?
I think if it's anybody, it's Malcolm Rodriguez.
Okay.
But I do think after whoever's the top two linebackers, I think they're all going to be rotated in the game fairly often. I think Derek Barnes is going to come off the bench, but his progression, his development this year, his increase in play, I think that's just that much more value coming off the bench, whether he starts or not. Having that and Malcolm coming off the bench would be huge.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
to have more. It's crazy because just a year or two ago,
right?
A year ago, this is a problem. Now you have a couple guys that you trust, and to your point, Broder, you have different guys that are good at different things, so you'll be able to utilize them, no doubt. I know there's comment too. Jonas, who's more valuable, Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson? More valuable, I would say Dan Campbell. He has more on his plate, but I love Ben Johnson. So It's not saying Ben isn't valuable. They're both valuable. So but Dan is a head coach. Like, he's got a lot more on his plate.
I'd argue Ben Johnson, but that's just me, because I think he is the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. I think him getting here, him getting promoted and empowered for the last 6 weeks of 2021, it's never been the same since. That's when the trajectory of this franchise really took off. But to Dan Campbell's credit, he had to demote his friend and Anthony Lynn, which was a great leader move. It just wasn't working.
Right.
And that was Dan Campbell.
And for Dan, he's got, like, Ben's just calling plays. Dan is like player relationships, like, he's doing everything. So value, I get what you're saying, but value, I would say Dan. But regardless, Ben Johnson, man, I just don't want him to leave. Give him a blank check, Sheila Ham. Give him a blank check, allow him to fill it in, and just cash it. Like, whatever it takes for him to stay. Before he goes to LA and goes coaches
Hopefully he'll
Justin
be like
Herbert.
Bieniemy and stay for a while, for like 4 or 5 seasons longer than he should have.
But that also comes with him not getting a job when he rightfully deserved one, which I think Ben will get one.
Correct. But you know, sometimes the boys just staying together and winning.
It's like saying, you see the reports coming out like Bieniemy's like intense and Commanders players aren't liking it. It's like, dude, you guys are a bunch of soft.
Ron Rivera needs to. I think they're just having Bieniemy there to like learn the system one year, and then they're booting Ron Rivera next year. They have to. The man didn't even know they were about to get eliminated from the playoffs last year.
I know.
Not to mention, you roll Carson Wentz out there week after week after week.
That was bad.
Man can't coach anymore.
In this comment, I get fired up when I see Tanner Aikstrand's name. Tanner Aikstrand will fit in quite nice when Ben leaves. That's my guy. Tanner's taking over for Ben Johnson a year from now, because you notice the trend, right? Tanner gets promoted to passing game coordinator. He's doing the same thing Ben's doing before he was OC.
2.0.
You can see the path.
You see the path. Thank you, Lucas. But guess what? I also see the path to getting a good haircut at Lady Jane's.
And you can see the path on top of this head right here. Because look at this. This is a product of Lady Jane's. And you know, you can get a haircut this good too someday. Not quite as easily as me, because it is literally in the same building, but you guys can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you and one for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. For Detroit, by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf, located inside of the Cambria Hotel. Downtown's newest sports bar has 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. Join the Woodward Sports team to watch us play against 16 lucky fans. You guys, our very own Jeff Iafrate and Lucas Klotz and Booner were there last night. Was Braylon Edwards there as well?
He was.
Very, very nice. Who wouldn't want to play some golf simulator with those wonderful people? And we're having that league every single Thursday, so you guys can come back next Thursday. I might show up for a night or two. We shall see. But it's hosted by 5 Iron Golf and co-presented by Mark White & Associates and Long Drink Hard Seltzer. That is 5irongolf.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Plenty to get to. I wanted to have a conversation about Cam Sutton right now, because Cam Sutton, I know we kind of talked about him earlier this week, questioning like why is he, everything we see in social media is just getting someone catching a ball on Cam Sutton.
It looked like he was getting cooked.
Yes. Even though in camp, though, it was different, and he was playing really well, but for some reason they were doing him dirty by only releasing the clips of people catching passes on him. So no one's saying he's bad. I love Cam Sutton, and we want to have I'm going to pose the question today and just ask the people and ask everybody in this room. Can Cam Sutton be a Pro Bowler this year? And now I did the due diligence of looking at who made the Pro Bowl last year, right? Because that matters, or this year rather. Darius Slay, who didn't play because he played in the Super Bowl. Trayvon Diggs, Tariq Woolen, your guy.
It's my boy.
Jair
right
Alexander, and Jalen Ramsey. So
God, Hutch looks huge in that. Oh my
and
Lord.
that's who he's going to get. Now look at this. I mean, Cam Sutton.
Look how big Hutch is, bro.
Yeah, he is a giant.
Holy fuck.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, he's a giant. Now, I guess the question, for everybody, and I'm going to go to you guys on this, can Cam Sutton do enough to make the Pro Bowl? Not that matters, but can Cam Sutton be that true number one corner, that guy that, a Jair for Green Bay, a guy that you can count on week in and week out to take on the opposing team's best wide receiver? Now, you look at Cam Sutton. I want to just go through his career really, really quickly and the trajectory he's had with Mike Tomlin. He was drafted there, in 2017. He played there from 2017 all the way to last year. And you've seen Cam Sutton's development all throughout the years. He's only gotten better, right? You look at his first 4 years, he had 3 interceptions, right, in his first 4 years. His last 2 years, 5. So he's gotten much better. He's entering now. He's fully in his prime. He's 28 years old. Got his contract that he wished. Last year, 15 pass deflections. He was everywhere. He had, if you look at passer rating allowed, he was in the category of guys that allowed under like a 60 passer rating, whatever it was. Like Cam Sutton was elite in pass coverage. Now, for the Lions, for a team that lacked a true number one corner, but not just that, the secondary last year was just awful all around, besides a couple guys that you like. But overall, it was not good. They upgraded it this offseason. They got Emmanuel Mosley now alongside Cam Sutton. And I want to ask you, Sam Flannel, first. Can Cam Sutton, is his trajectory, because last season, coming off 3 picks, 15 pass deflections, had a great year, how much better can Cam Sutton get with the Detroit Lions, now with AG as his defensive coordinator?
I don't know if he's necessarily going to make the Pro Bowl, although to be fair, Jalen Ramsey did go to the AFC in Miami, so a spot is going to open up, which can definitely help Cam Sutton in terms of making the Pro Bowl. But I do think Cam Sutton, at the very least, will have a Pro Bowl caliber year and will emerge as the cornerback 1 of the Detroit Lions for sure, because you look at what he did last year. People kind of say that Cam Sutton really isn't elite. He's the cornerback 1 for the Detroit Lions, but he's in that tier below elite, which is, I would say, relatively fair. But some of the numbers that he put up last year, at least at some times, in a 16-game sample size, because he was a starter all year, he allowed a passer rating of 69.6 when targeted. That to me sounds like a shutdown corner. Mm-hmm. His completion percentage allowed when targeted was 51% on 71 targets. So you weren't eating on Cam Sutton if you're the wide receiver or the quarterback. He also had 3 interceptions, which means he made some plays. He's got that. If you're a starting NFL corner and you play that well, and in a lot of ways you are a shutdown corner, and you intercept 3 passes, that is a damn good year. And the 15 passes defended that you said, which is absolutely incredible. And Broder, you wrote a couple of things about Cam Sutton. This is where this topic is coming from in your article that I thought were very, very telling, because you had mentioned some things about the defense in the second day of joint practices and how there were some things that were a little shaky, but you mentioned Josh Pascal. You were very complimentary of him, but you were also very, very complimentary of Cam Sutton. You said he was basically shutting down half the field. He was making plays. He was deflecting passes. I mean, if you want to expound on that a little bit, I mean, that's what you said basically, right?
Yeah, 100%. And we see him getting cooked in a lot of these clips. He's going against the other team's number 1, and he's going to throughout the season. So there's just more opportunity to let those things happen, and that's just par for the course. But he's one of those guys. He's like the quiet leader on that defense, and especially in that secondary. But where I think he has a chance to make the Pro Bowl, and I'm not calling for it, but I think where his chances raise are because of the defense around him, and specifically the secondary behind him.
Right.
I think having, whether it's Kirby Joseph and C.J. Gardner-Johnson behind him, or even Tracy Walker, having Brian Branch or C.J. Gardner-Johnson in that nickel, he's got less to worry about, and he can put all his energy into shutting down the wide receiver across from him. So I think his job I don't want to say the easiest on the defense, but like he's got the less to worry about, so he can make a jump like that.
Yeah, Cam Sutton is one of the most genuine human beings. Like he's easily going to be a fan favorite if he's not already. Like we went down to training camp, me, Lucas, Booner, and Mike, and you could see him staying late, signing autographs, talking with people individually, being super genuine, didn't rush anybody, just super down-to-earth human being. But on top of that, he's productive, which is number one. Like, you go back and you talked about the secondary he's a part of. In Pittsburgh, he had a hell of a pass rush with T.J. Watt, of course, Minka Fitzpatrick, arguably the best safety, if not one of the better safeties in the NFL on the back end there. Now you're going into a situation, to Broder's point, where you got C.J., you got Kirby, you got guys that you could trust, but also you got guys on that defensive line that are turning into studs. And Sam brought this up, and I want to get Lucas's opinion on this, but I want to bring this up really quickly. Allowed 47.9% of the balls thrown in his direction to be completed. Like, that's good. You brought that up. But also, look at the improvement he made from last year to the prior year. That's number one. In 2021, he allowed a 104.9 passer rating. The next season, 65.3. Like, think about that jump. Like, and again, he's 28. He's not out of his prime. He's going to get better. So I think it's a great sign for Cam Sutton now in Detroit. I really do believe that. What about you, Lucas?
I think Cam Sutton, I don't think he's a Pro Bowl level corner, but just like you guys said, I think this defense is going to elevate him. But when you just look around the corners in the NFC, you got Jaire Alexander, you got Tariq Woolen out, and I mean Ramsey's not there anymore. You got Tariq Woolen. I just had him all pulled up. Go figure. But there's corners around that. Darius Slay, James Bradbury. You can keep going down the line. Trayvon Diggs, if you wanted AJ Terrell. Like there's corners above him that are very good. But when you look around, like I love DJ Reed with the Jets. And I think Cam Sutton is a lot like DJ Reed, where he's got a lot of tools, but he doesn't really have anything on an elite level. But he's very good at getting to his spot, manning up. You can lay him in the inside or the outside, and he does his job every time, and he's very consistent. So I do not think Cam Sutton's going to be a Pro Bowl level corner this year. I think the Pro Bowl players are going to be in the safety department, but that doesn't mean Cam Sutton's a bad player. I think he's a very solid corner. He's a very good option for us. I think if we were to add a true number one corner, Cam Sutton would look like a monster out there because he's not on the number one anymore. He's on the number two. So that's really what I hope the Lions add on to next offseason, get a true lockdown corner to pair with Cam Sutton. But the other thing I like with Cam Sutton that'll help him out, he's got his college teammate with Emmanuel Mosley.
Yes.
And that's going to help Emmanuel Mosley out a lot. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowl level corner, but a very good corner for us.
Yeah, and Sam, I don't really care. The Pro Bowl stuff I don't really care about because we know it's a popularity contest. I mean, even the guys that made it last year, Darius, who didn't play, of course, Trayvon, Tariq, Jaire, Jalen, all of those guys were on winning teams or teams that won. Jaire is the exception because he's Jaire Alexander. He just makes it because he's elite. But other guys, Jalen, they were only, a year or two removed from a Super Bowl, and then Jalen Ramsey, of course, made it. That was the replacement for Darius Slay. Tariq Woolen, the Seattle Seahawks made the playoffs. Trayvon Diggs, the Dallas Cowboys made the playoffs, and of course Darius Slay, who they made the Super Bowl. Winning is a part of it, but it is a popularity contest. The Lions are going to be winning games, but I don't really care if he makes the Pro Bowl because you look at the NFC. There's up-and-coming corners also in the NFC, but we know Cam Sutton, regardless if he makes a Pro Bowl or not, who gives a damn? That dude's a number one corner for the Lions.
Well,
no doubt.
He's definitely the number one corner for the Lions, and that's why I wanted to make it all about Cam Sutton, because everything you guys said about the NFC being deep when it comes to cornerbacks, particularly, we mentioned them, Tariq Woolen, AJ Terrell, those are ones that sometimes you even forget about. It doesn't matter because whether he makes the Pro Bowl or not, I think you might look back as that being Cam Sutton being the most valuable offseason signing for this past offseason. I think it's either going to be him or C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And that's the thing. Last year, it just goes to show you're basically taking out Jeff Okudah and putting in Cam Sutton. And you don't want to get into Jeff Okudah's numbers last year because they were significantly worse than Cam Sutton's. I will just say that. But last year, as I said before, Cam Sutton had, I don't know if it was, I think by the numbers, a Pro Bowl caliber year. So it's not about him making it. It's about him repeating what he did last year and maybe being even better. I could definitely see it because he is part of a secondary with a lot of talent. And he's got some up. They've got some pass rushers up front in Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston who are going to make quarterbacks get rid of the football before they are ready. I will just say that. To be fair, he had that in Pittsburgh with guys like Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, but still, he's going to have something like that again in Detroit. I think this is actually a very good position for him to be on a winning team, to play hopefully as well as he did last year in a pretty loaded secondary, at least deep secondary. Cam Sutton is going to be a problem. And I personally predict that he will have the best season of his career this year. And I'll tell you what, maybe if a couple of people drop out, could you see Cam Sutton maybe being a Pro Bowl alternate? Is that his ceiling this year, a Pro Bowl alternate?
I agree.
Probably.
Yeah. Absolutely, but we'd all agree that whether he makes it or not doesn't change probably his level of play. I think he'll be damn good. And again, you look at the wide receivers he's facing in the NFC North. Like now you got DJ Moore, you got Justin Jefferson, and then if you want to add Christian Watson, who's up and coming. But like Cam's gonna have his plate full, but I wouldn't want anybody else here to handle it. I think Cam Sutton's the right guy for it.
Like we always said, you got those safeties behind him too.
Absolutely. Those guys, especially now Brian Branch, who just seems to just keep getting better.
Yeah.
Like
he's gonna start this year.
It's crazy how much better the secondary got in one season. Like Brad identifies a weakness, snaps his finger, clicks his heels, and it's upgraded. Like I don't understand.
Too.
Clicks
on
his
a
heels.
bargain.
On a bargain, too.
The whole secondary is on a bargain. Even the rookie Brian Branch, second-round pick for him.
Cam Sutton 3 for 33 is not bad.
No.
11 a year for a guy who you could be your number one corner. I don't know. He keeps turning water into wine. So thank you, Brett Holmes. I appreciate that. But we're going to go to break. When we get back, I want to continue some of this conversation. And I saw this come out, and I knew Sam was going to love this one. How much did the Lions upgrade their backfield from last year? The 33rd team talked about it. Sam Flannel, we're calling you to the stand. We're gonna have this conversation with you, Sam Flannel. I can't wait for it. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, the sports marketing agency, because again, guys, they're here for you. And if you want to know any information, you can go to their website, thesportsma.com. Again, it's okay to not be okay, and these guys help you do that. So please go get help. Thesportsma.com. They're here for you. Go check them out. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
I truly believe that Montgomery and Gibbs will be an upgrade over Williams and Swift. Not saying that they were very productive and helped Detroit Lions offense have the success that they had last year, but I believe the speed is better. I believe that the youth, you can see it in their the way they move. They're elusive. They can make plays both in a run and pass game. And I can almost guarantee that if you took the combination of Williams and Swift and put their production together, that Montgomery and Gibbs will have more production.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And there you have it, Rick Spielman, the brother of Chris Spielman. Rick Spielman was the general manager of the Vikings for about 10 years. And now he does a lot of work for the 33rd team. Big football guy, big football brain as well. With that statement he just
I don't know
made.
if he quite knows ball, though. Rick Spielman can have some washy takes. He's not on Louis Riddick level.
Well, of course.
Like
Louis Riddick.
I don't look at Rick Spielman and go, he knows ball.
Well, I'll say this. He knows ball.
He has some good takes. That was a good take.
Okay, we're just on the same page. Take, he knows ball with that take.
He definitely has some misses in his bag, though, for sure.
Now, I'll say this too, guys, really quickly. If you're watching, hit the like button. We're almost at 100 likes. Let's try to get to it before the end of this segment. Plenty more to get to. Don't forget, woodwardsports.com for all the latest news, articles, updates, show clips, and merchandise. And if you can't watch the show live, go back, re-listen to it on any podcast platform you listen to. Morning Woodward Show. Leave a 5-star review. And Sam Flannel, you heard it.
I did.
And we've had this conversation before, right? The backfield, and it's I guess when you look at David compared to Jamal and Jameer compared to DeAndre, we don't know what those guys look like yet in a Lions uniform in regular season, but we do know, at least based on what they can do, it's a very similar backfield, but still I think David and Jameer are just better, in my opinion. I would take David over Jamal. Because, again, people forget Jamal was just a change of pace back for his entire career. He's just a guy that came in for the Packers and gave him a different look. He was solid, and then he came to the Lions with this offensive line, and Ben Johnson called him plays, and he got a ton of plays at the 1-yard line, and he broke Barry's record. So, I'm not saying it takes everything away from Jamal, but, people want to crown Jamal now. Like, David Montgomery's put up 800 yards a year in Chicago in that disastrous organization. So that deserves credit. And then Jahmyr, as explosive as he is, I think he's going to be better than DeAndre Swift, and hopefully he's more healthy. But Sam Flannel, well, hold on. We'll save Sam for last, because I think Sam's the guy we got to go to last. Lucas, when you first heard it, what'd you think?
I mean, he was spot on. He spit facts. Again, I'm not the biggest Rick Spielman fan, but that's completely fact. You can go down the stat rabbit hole if you want to, but if you just watch the players on film, take account injuries as well, there's a clear answer. I've seen David Montgomery rip off an 80-yard touchdown run against the Houston Texans. The longest I've ever seen Jamal run was 50 yards, and he still almost got caught. And I think David Montgomery's better after the contact, and he's just a more elusive runner than Jamal. Jahmyr Gibbs, more athletic, has better burst, and I think he's going to be able to stay healthier than DeAndre Swift. And that's just as simple as it needs to be. It's a simple upgrade, in my opinion. That's all it is.
Broder, any hesitation? You see someone make a claim like a Rick Spielman, and we agree that I think the backfield's better. But is it fair to say Jahmyr's better and he hasn't even played yet? Or are you on the same page? You think this backfield's a significant upgrade?
I think it's an upgrade. I don't know if it's significant, but I do think it's an upgrade. And I think Ben Johnson answered this for us a couple weeks ago, or it might have been during OTAs and minicamps, when he talked about last year. He was talking about how good the offense was going, but also that there was a lot of meat left on the bone. There were a lot of 3-4 yard runs that he thought could have been 6, 7, 8 yard runs. And I think that was almost speaking directly about Jamal Williams and what this David Montgomery upgrade could bring. He's a guy that can break tackles and can extend plays much more than Jamal Williams, who's more straight runner right between the tackles, not a lot of extra.
Sam Flannel, you're on the stand.
All
You're
right.
under
Make
oath
your
right now.
case, Flannel.
You're under oath. Sam Flannel, the floor is yours.
All right, so for all of you who think that I'm going to say it wasn't an upgrade, that's a lie. I do believe this is an upgrade. It 100% is an upgrade, but let me just read something from our very own Booner, because he did a great job filling in for me those 3 days, and I like it when we can incorporate him into the show via his chat. Because he says something that I hear a lot, but I don't think it carries as much water as people think. I'll say it again. Jamal was 600 yards or less in every season before last year. Monty has been over 800 yards every season. These guys are on two different levels. Well, here's the thing. Boy, I have to do this. I have to do this again. That does not take away what Jamal Williams did last year. The complete and utter just disregarding of Jamal Williams, I think, is a little bit crazy. I know people feel a little bit scorned by Jamal Williams because he ended up being a fan favorite and then he left for New Orleans. But just because Jamal Williams was a career backup doesn't mean that he did not step up when the Lions needed him most, when DeAndre Swift does what he always does, which is get hurt. And Jamal Williams had 1,066 yards and 17 rushing touchdowns, despite what he did the past few years, for his whole career before that. But second of all, when it comes to the upgrade, I think the upgrade is more going to come from Jahmyr Gibbs over DeAndre Swift than it's going to come from David Montgomery over Jamal Williams, because DeAndre Swift, I've got some really damning numbers about DeAndre Swift, and I've given a few of them before, but here's a few that are even new. This is the one that I love the most. His career high in 3 seasons in Detroit for rushing yards in a season was 617. That is less than mid, actually. Thank you, brother. The computer can't even handle it. It's shutting down. And last season, DeAndre Swift had 32 yards or less rushing in a game, as Principal Rooney would say, 9 times. That is a real stat, by the way. Look it up. So DeAndre Swift was extremely mid. He was extremely undurable, and even when they decided to play him, he had 9 games in which he had less than 32 rushing yards. And I think DeAndre Swift's pass-catching prowess was very overrated and overvalued, because his career high for receiving yards in a season was 452. Lucas, I heard you moan, but is Jahmyr Gibbs going to be a better pass catcher than DeAndre Swift ever was?
100%, but I think Swift was still a great receiver. I think
he is.
Like what he did in the sample size. Now again, to everything you said as far as not fighting for extra contact, I agree with you with 100%. But just as a pure receiver of the football, I think DeAndre Swift, that's his strong suit.
And you could, I mean, it better be a strong suit when your career high in rushing yards is 617.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. I think he was very just Theo Riddick-ish. I think that's the best way to take it. And I don't think that's what they drafted him for.
He was Theo Riddick, a slightly better runner, and I'd say even a worse receiver because Theo Riddick was a damn good receiver.
Yeah, Theo Riddick was a dog out of the backfield.
No,
that was the only thing he did.
And to Sam, to your point, because I do agree. At least it's hard because you're saying Jameer's an upgrade over DeAndre without him playing, but you're not willing to say it for David. Again, Booner put the stats in here, which I think need more context because he put Monty in 4 seasons, 3,600 yards and 26 touchdowns. Jamal in his first 5 seasons, 2,500 yards and 13 touchdowns, but you have to factor in he was playing behind Aaron Jones. Like that's a big part of it. So I get again, you can use stats to make any argument. David Montgomery was RB1 through his career. Yes, there was other guys, but it was David. He was getting all the carries. So I don't know if I would use those numbers. I would say this: David in a worse situation was productive, yes. And again, you talk about a guy who's a breaking tackles like no one else. That's David Montgomery. So there's physical tools he has, there's abilities he has that I don't think Jamal has. But the numbers, I don't know if I can use.
Flannel, would this be a good way to put it? You think David Montgomery on a skill level is an upgrade, but statistically at the end of the season, you don't really think there will be a massive jump in production. If that makes sense.
When it comes to David Montgomery versus Jamal Williams, absolutely not. I don't, and I know what is going to happen. If David Montgomery has like 918 rushing yards on 4.1 yards per carry, you guys are going to come back and be like, you see, it was a total upgrade. Especially if he has like 8 to 10 touchdowns when Jamal Williams had 17. You're going to give me all of this context, but the way that you guys are treating David Montgomery, a lot of you, I mean, I even hear it from a guy I always like to bring up, Neil Rule. He said, I'm a big David Montgomery guy. And I say to myself, how can you be a big David Montgomery guy? He had 1,000-yard season in 4 with Chicago and had 2 seasons in which he had less than 4 yards per carry. Come on. But you can think he's an upgrade, but you can't be. Nobody's a big David Montgomery guy. Get out
here. Chicago fans are. Yeah, they were hurt when he's leaving.
And think about this, Sam. Let me try and put this picture in your head really quickly, okay? So you have Jamal Williams, who, for his career, at least in Green Bay, was solid. Like I said, he was a guy that the Packers used as like a change of pace guy. He was solid. He brought the energy. And you go through his numbers at Green Bay, about 500 yards a season, roughly. And then he gets to Detroit with the best offensive line he's ever had, the best offensive coordinator he's had, I would argue. Yes, Aaron Rodgers, he got to play with Aaron, which is a great benefit. But at the same time, he came to the Lions. DeAndre Swift went down. He got over 1,000 yards. What do you think David can do? Because he's been more productive in a worse situation. Now, again, he's just like Jamal, going to a situation where he'll have the best OC he's had, the best offensive line he's had. You telling me he won't get 1,000? Because he'll have better, maybe not the touchdown numbers, because those are skewed, because a lot of those are at the 1 yard line, but yards, rushing yards, I think David's going to get, I think he's good for at least 1,100.
Well, here's the thing. I think David Montgomery is certainly capable of that because he is a better back than Jamal Williams, albeit I think the gap is smaller than people think. I just think that Jahmyr Gibbs will be far more productive than DeAndre Swift was, and I think by the end of the year, Jahmyr Gibbs will be RB1. He might not get like 20, 25 carries a game, but he's certainly going to get more touches than David Montgomery because I personally think, so DeAndre Swift's career high in rushing yards in a season is 617. I think Jahmyr Gibbs gets past that in year 1. I think he gets at least 650. And I also think he breaks DeAndre Swift's career high in receiving yards for a season at 452. I think he gets at the very least 500, probably more. Probably more right in both of those stat categories, by the way, because I think he is a much more talented running back than David Montgomery. Time will tell on if he's not durable as well, like DeAndre Swift was, because DeAndre Swift is obviously also a much more talented running back than Jamal Williams. I'm just banking on the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs won't be as made of glass as DeAndre Swift, and he will get the usage that will keep David Montgomery from having huge numbers.
And that's fair, because a lot of Jamal's stats you could accredit to now DeAndre being out. Yeah. So there's that argument as well. Even if the stats aren't similar, I think when you watch David Montgomery, Lucas, the eye test, you'll be like, yeah, this dude's better than Jamal. Maybe the numbers won't be exact.
That's why people are big David Montgomery fans, because if you watch David Montgomery, he's a physical back that still has quick bursts, and he reads the defense very well, and he has a very good jump cut. That's what I'm really excited to see about David Montgomery, his ability to jump cut through gaps and create contact off of that where it almost helps him keep balance. He's amazing at keeping his balance and creating yards after contact. And Jamal Williams, he was solid again, 4 or 5 yards. And again, Jamal Williams was great here. for last season. He was very great. He performed on an efficient level, but David Montgomery is a better back, and he is also very, 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 very efficient in multiple departments. He's a great pass blocker as well. So he's just a complete back, and that's what we're excited to see, because Jamal Williams was kind of like a one-trick pony, and David Montgomery brings something else. He brings more juice to this offense, and he definitely fits the Dan Campbell mentality as far as you're going to not want to tackle David Montgomery, and when it's the fourth quarter, he's going to beat the defense down, and that's where Jahmyr Gibbs is now going to explode, because you just been beaten down by David Montgomery 15, 16 times. And now Jahmyr Gibbs is going to hit you for a 30, 40-yard screen.
I love this comment. Shout out to Dr. Clappin' Cheeks. He joined the stream. He says, if you don't think Montgomery is an upgrade, you've been spending too much time at Dispo. Well, Dr. Clappin' Cheeks, and again, we appreciate your presence. We're very honored to have you in our chat, Dr. Clappin' Cheeks. But also what you said is fair. Now, we have to see it. That's the other part of it. And this is a good question, too. We'll answer this, and I'll ask Sam this. Caston Reed says, Flannel, if David got the same exact workload as Jamal, are his stats better, same, or worse? What do you think?
I think they
With
are,
DeAndre being hurt.
You know what? I think they're slightly better. I think maybe he averages 4.2 yards per carry, or 4.3 instead of 4.1, and he gets more catches out of the backfield because Jamal Williams gave the Lions bricks. Jamal Williams gave the Lions absolutely nothing in that regard. I don't hate David Montgomery, by the way. I just think that Jamal Williams is kind of, people have gone way too far the other end of the spectrum because they loved Jamal Williams last year more than I did. I didn't even like his antics. I just think on the way out, people kind of felt scorned. People felt attached to Jamal Williams. And now that he's on New Orleans, people are like, we never liked him anyway. He wasn't that good anyway. As Gabby is going to love this, he was a tomato can running behind the greatest offensive line ever. No, Jamal Williams was actually very, very good last year. 1,066 and 17 touchdowns. You cannot sneeze at that. You cannot just, like drink your pee. 1,066 and 17 touchdowns. Oh, man, that's not anything. No, Jamal Williams was very, very good. Just show some respect. No. Don't act like David Montgomery is like that much better. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sam, and again, for this comment too, LFG, it's very simple. Listen to the doctor, Clapping Cheeks. Just listen to him. I mean, he's gonna tell you what he thinks is best for you. And again, I agree with him. Yeah, of course. I mean, the guy's a legend here. John Macaron says, decent take by Dr. Clappin' Cheeks at Broder. The doc chiming in now. Again, we'll go to break when we get back, and this is a good conversation. I want to have it because I am excited for this backfield this year. I do think it'll be an upgrade, and we shall see. I mean, we gonna see. We gonna see. You know how it works. When we get back, I want to talk about this rookie class, speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, because the question I have for the people, and we'll answer this when we get back, is could this draft class that just happened in April, could it be better potentially than the last two draft classes Brad Holmes has had? Could it be? We'll see. When you draft as good as Brad, it's worth the conversation.
He's always cooking in the kitchen.
And I can't believe we actually are able to have this conversation. Like, hallelujah. We can talk about draft classes. Isn't that fun? It is fun. Before we do that, I got to talk about a defense that you should draft every time. It's Guardian Alarm. Because, guys, they got customized solutions from real experts. They got 24/7 professional monitoring. And they got technology backed by wonderful people. All you got to do is call 1-800-STAY-OUT for more information. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer, Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Holton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in bright and early on this Friday morning, this game day. While you're here, be sure to go and check out all of our social media at Woodward Sports because you won't want to miss it throughout this football season. All that they're cooking up from our socials team. Shout out to Lucas. And then be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're listening via podcast, why don't you just download this episode, leave a 5-star review. It won't hurt you. It'll just help us. Now back to the show.
Let's get into it, guys. Draft classes, right? Brad Holmes, he's had 3 so far. He's had Trey. All pretty good draft classes. And Sam Flannel asked this question to me last night. It was a great question. Could this prior draft class be his best draft class? And now, I thought about this a lot. And I sat there last night and I was looking at it. And now 2021, I would say it will be. But 2022, you have basically almost every draft pick contributing. I mean, you have Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, and we shall see with Jamison, Josh Pascal in the second round, Kirby Joseph, James Mitchell, Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston, and Chase Lucas. That's like, you pretty much almost hit 100% in that draft class. So that's tough to top there. I mean, Aiden, a franchise defensive end. Jamison, hopefully a superstar wide receiver. We shall see with him. I think when he plays, that'll kind of solidify that. Josh Pascal, he's been injured, but he has a ton of upside. Kirby, no word. We don't even have to talk about Kirby. We know who he is. James Mitchell, still a contributor. Malcolm, starter last year. James Houston, starter last year on certain plays and had a sack a game in his playing time. And Chase Lucas, who, again, he's a 7th-round pick, but a guy that is still involved in especially with the second-team defense, and he's out there making plays. But this prior draft class, I mean, you got Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell in the first round, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch in the second round, Hendon Hooker and Broderick Martin in the third round, and then you got Colby Sorsdahl and Antoine Green. Like, I talked about basically 2022 being like a 90% hit rate. I can see 2023 being like a 90% hit rate, Sam Flannel, so it's a tough conversation. But I would say until we actually get to see these guys, 2022 was a hell of a draft. Yeah. It really was.
Yeah, I would say that 2022 is the best one so far, especially if Jamison Williams and Josh Pascal hit to any degree that we think that they can, particularly Jamison Williams. If he ever becomes that superstar wide receiver, there's already 4 guaranteed hits. I think Josh Pascal could turn out to be one. If Jamison Williams becomes a superstar, that 2022 draft will be absolutely legendary. But 2021 had Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 future superstars, maybe already superstars. I would say Amon-Ra St. Brown already, and Penei Sewell is arguably a top 5 tackle in the NFL. But there certainly is a pathway to this past draft, 2023, being the best and most impactful draft class in I would say, I mean, not even just Brad Holmes, maybe Detroit Lions history. And there are a few factors that could contribute to that. I actually made a little bit of a list. So despite the Detroit Lions finishing the season 8-2, looking like a completely improved team, a lot of those, I would say 3 out of those 4 of the first 2-round draft picks will see the field. I mean, they'll all see the field right away, but 3 out of the 4 might step in on day 1 and be the best players at their respective position groups. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is much more talented than David Montgomery. I don't know if he'll get the usage right away, but I think at the end of the year, you'll see that he is RB1. Sam Laporta is by far the best tight end on the team on day 1. Not just because of Sam Laporta's talent, but because Brock Wright, James Mitchell, they're not number 1s. I think James Mitchell has more talent than Brock Wright, but still, they needed a number 1 tight end. And then you look at Jack Campbell. I skipped right ahead Jack Campbell. He is probably going to be the best linebacker on the team day 1. He is certainly the most physically gifted and talented. And I think if all of those things happen, if Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, and Jahmyr Gibbs all prove out to be the best players on their respective position groups, maybe even as soon as day 1, certainly with Campbell and Laporta, I think that will be huge for them. And even Brian Branch, I don't know if he's going to be the best player in the secondary on day 1, but I tell you what, he has the highest upside of any of them. And I think when it's all said and done, you will look at Brian Branch being the one who makes all pros, being the one who makes multiple Pro Bowls, and maybe being a Hall of Famer. I'm not calling for that, but
get the jacket made.
And then of course, I didn't even mention Broderick Martin, who could be a day 1 starting defensive tackle, and you might have even gotten your future franchise quarterback in the 3rd round with Hendon Hooker. That is to be determined. But here's another factor. Here's what this draft had uniquely that even the 2021 and 2022 did not have as much of. So when you look at Brad Holmes, one of the things that he is most known for is hitting on those later round picks. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown in 2021. You've got Kirby Joseph in 2022, Malcolm Rodriguez and James Houston in the 6th round. But in this 2023 draft, they had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, which is his career high as a GM. And when you're looking at just the hit rate of draft picks by round in every single draft in history, you are going to get some diamonds in the rough in the later rounds, which Brad Holmes has been great at. But if you want the ones to hit the majority of the time, you want to get them him in the first and second rounds. And what did Brad Holmes say in Inside the Den? He said that he had 14 players in his first round bucket, and I believe that 4 of them, he got them in the first 2 rounds, including Brian Branch at 45. And one more factor, which I think is more important than I think even people give credit for. This draft class, at least coming in this year, you could argue last one too, but they started the season 1-6. This draft class in 2023 will be heavily contributing to a team that will win the division and win a playoff game. At least I believe so.
Facts.
This draft class will never know what losing is. 2021 knows what losing is. Their first year was 3-13-1. Even 2022, they started the season 1-6. They rebounded to finish 9-8, but they did not make the playoffs. This draft class is going to come in and not know anything about the SOL mentality, know nothing about losing. It is going to be winning right away. And I think at the very least, 5 of the rookies are heavy contributors, and maybe even 4 of them being pretty, I would say, competing for all rookie team positions at the very least. So for that reason, I think it is highly possible that we look back at this draft class as being even more impactful than the previous 2, which were pretty damn impactful in their own right.
And you think about it too, in the 2022 draft class, as good as this prior one was, and I want to get to Lucas and then of course Matt and Gabrielle as well. You guys are the ones to go to for this stuff. I want to just say this. Last year, the amount of records these rookies set, franchise records, I think is something. And it's, again, for this rookie class, like last year, the defensive line, especially Aiden and James Houston, there was a stat, and I want to read this. This is crazy. NFL's first set of rookie teammates to each log 7 sacks in a season. Of course, they finished with more than that. They broke the franchise record for sacks by rookies, along with Pascal and company as well. Like, they were productive. Kirby Joseph, what he did as well. Like, a lot of things happened that we just have never seen. So, big expectations for this draft class. I think the big deciding factor, Lucas, is if Hendon Hooker becomes a franchise quarterback.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That makes this draft class better.
Because this whole draft class, I mean, Brad and Dan even said it themselves, this wasn't a very strong draft class as far as first-round talent. Now, they did get, in their eyes, 3, if you want to consider Hendon Hooker 1, 4 first-round guys. So that definitely has a possibility to Flannel said for a path. But I just think the fact that you got James Houston in the 6th round last year, and you got Aiden Hutchinson with the number 2 overall pick, like, you can't just act like the Lions didn't have the number 2 overall pick and drafted the number 1 player in the draft last year. When you talk about draft classes, I think Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to be the best player out of the last 3 draft classes. If you want, Panay could give him a run for his money for sure. But this is an overall draft class. I don't think we're going to see a better one than 2022. But I can easily be proven wrong if Hendon Hooker comes out and he's a franchise quarterback. Because at the end of the day, if you hit on a franchise quarterback, it doesn't matter what else you drafted that year. You got your franchise guy that's going to lead you for years to come.
And I'll start with you, Gabrielle, for your opinion on this. For Brad Holmes and the guys he's drafted, he's had 2021, 2022, 2023. Now, I guess the question, because 2021 was solid, but it's really between 2022 and 2023, in my opinion. What do you think? Can this draft class be his best draft class? Or can it top last year's draft class with all the guys he's found?
Everyone's going to hate this, but it's really TBD because we haven't seen them out in the field. We haven't seen them in game situations, and we don't know who is going to really thrive under that pressure or who is going to fall. They're already anticipating that because it's going to happen with all new players on the team. So how will they react? Obviously, we already see some key pieces that, like a Sam Laporta, that we don't think are going to fall once they reach that game time. But we don't know. We don't know how they're going to react. We don't know how they're going to meld yet. So I think it's too early to say, honestly, how they're going to be looking and what draft class is better. I do think there's I think more players this year that there is hype around nationally from this most recent draft class. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards this year, but we'll see.
And John chimed in, he says, do you guys think Holmes nailed it with Hooker? Yeah, he definitely nailed Hooker. But no, he nailed it with drafting Hooker, no doubt about it. And I guess for you, Broder, of course, we have to see with these guys, these young players, because there's a lot of pressure, like Gabrielle kind of alluded to. But for you, what do you think? What's in your gut? You think this 2023 draft class is higher upside, or 2022 is just too impressive?
I do think it's going to be the 2023 class, but it'll be a good case made of Josh Pascal keeps turning into what he looks like so far this training camp. He's a beast, and then you pair that with maybe J-Mo turns into what we think he is, James Mitchell. That's pretty deadly, but it's all going to fall on Hendon Hooker. If he's your starting quarterback in 2 years, that draft class wins. And very lastly, releasing Logan Stenberg, to me, although this hasn't been, no one on the line said this specifically, but to me that signals Colby Sorsdale is maybe ahead of schedule, or he's their right guard of the future to replace Halapulavati Vaitai.
You pronounce that
whenever you
name.
say that,
Yeah,
it blows
dude.
my mind.
Broder was just looking for an opportunity to show off with that
I've been practicing, guys.
Broder, you're coming in clutch with that one. See, like, that's the juice I need. That's
Juice.
the kind of little Kool-Aid I
So
need.
one more time, Broder.
Halapulavati Vaitai.
Damn.
Yeah, I get
Halapulavati
Halapulavati, and then I
Vaitai.
just I grammar out. I can't do it anymore.
Dude, yeah, good luck talking trash to that guy. Like, how do you address him to talk trash to him? Just call him Vaitai, I guess. But no, actually, it's a great point, Broder. To be honest with you, I think even Justin Jackson retiring. I know this is off topic. Why the hell did he retire? And we talked with Braylon about this, and he made a great point. I mean, he's fighting to be a third-string running back in a league where they don't even value the number one running back. So, can you quickly, before we go to break, like what do you think happened with that? They just signed Benny Snell as well.
Yeah, my gut's saying that, he's a smart kid. He graduated from Northwestern, and depending on what this season looked like to him, he's seen what the running backs, what that market looks like, what a future running back, what his future as a running back in the league might lead to. And my guess, it's my gut again. He hasn't said this yet, but I think he's just looking to get out, save his head from more injuries. So
yeah, get out early.
Yeah. But it's not a nothing to the Lions. He was going to be our starting kick returner. So we'll see what they do. We'll see who they put out there tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's another thing to keep an eye on, no doubt. But another place to keep an eye on if you need to get breakfast, lunch, or maybe even dinner is Big Boy, Broder. Could you tell everybody at home about him?
Oh, I definitely can. Because Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy.
Ooh.
Yes, you can try their classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or their mouth-watering red velvet waffle. If you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with the refreshing summer splash salad. And don't forget to grab dessert, including their very delicious classic strawberry pie, deep fried vanilla Oreos, or strawberry hot fudge cake, and more at Big Boy.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If you're watching live on YouTube, don't forget hit the like button on the stream and
Hit the
as
like,
well.
man.
And as well, like if you can't catch the show live, you can always re-listen on any podcast platform you listen to. Leave a 5-star review for the Morning Woodward Show. Plenty to get to. I love this topic, and I know Sam Flannel's oozing to get to this topic as well. He's oozing. We all know Aiden Hutchinson's a franchise defensive end. We know. You look at guys in the league that go from their rookie year to sophomore year, and there's been a hell of a jump for a lot of defensive ends. Now, J.J. Watt would be like the exception. I mean, his jump was inhuman.
We'll never see that again.
Yeah, that's
At
unreal.
least not anytime soon.
But speaking of J.J. Watt, Aiden Hutchinson spent some time with J.J. Watt, picking his brain a little bit. And we know guys like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, right? Guys that have taken that jump from year 1 to year 2. My question for everybody today, Porsche's record, 15 sacks in a season. That's Lions franchise record right there. And this tweet was put out, NFL Rumors. Several scouts think the Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, could have a breakout season with 15 to 20 sacks. Wow. Hutchinson has been spending more time with J.J. Watt this offseason, picking his brain. Now, the question I have, and I'll start with Sam Flannel on this one. I think Aiden Hutchinson will break Porsche's record. Now, the question, though, is it this season?
Ooh.
Sam Flannel, I go to you.
All right. Well, let me just
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
He's drinking.
Look what just manifested in front of me. Look what just manifested in front of me.
Kool-Aid.
Look what just manifested in front of me. I don't know where it came from. It's if it just magically appeared out of the ether after seeing Aiden Hutchinson reports 15, 20 sacks. Let me just.
Is that Scissor? What is he? Lions fan.
He's going.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Dave Flannel.
Flannel's drunk now. Blueberry vodka. That's
All
Jim
right.
Leahy vodka.
All right. Who am I to limit the ceiling of this man? Because here's the thing. What did I say yesterday? I think I love Aiden Hutchinson even more than his own mother does. And what I have said repeatedly is that I think Aiden Hutchinson gets 13.5 this next year. But you know what? Fuck it. He's getting 15. He's getting 15. He is 100% getting 15 sacks this season. He is going to, at the very least, tie the franchise record set by Robert Porcher. Actually, no disrespect to Robert Porcher, but the fact that he has the most sacks of any Lion ever. He has 95.5 for his career, but for his career, he had 5 double-digit sack seasons, but he only made 3 Pro Bowls and no All-Pros. So really? I think Aiden Hutchinson will actually, or no first-team All-Pros at least. I think Aiden Hutchinson will eventually have a better career than Robert Porcher. I think Robert Porcher is his absolute floor, and I think absolutely Aiden Hutchinson gets 15 this year. I mean, what's the big leap between 13.5 and 15? So I'm going to give him 15. And again, I made a list on why it is extremely possible. So I think Aiden Hutchinson will eventually win Defensive Player of the Year. I think it'll happen within the next 3 to 5 years. And when you look at previous Defensive Players of the Year, you look at Nick Bosa. His rookie season, he had 9. His second year playing, he had 15.5. That's a 6.5 sack jump. You look at TJ Watt, 7 his rookie year, 13 his second year, a 6 sack leap. You even look at, and I'm mentioning previous Defensive Players of the Year, you look at Aaron Donald, who is he plays a different position, obviously, but I think we would all agree that sacks are a big part of his impact. He went from 9 in his first year to 11 his second year. What about Khalil Mack? Listen to this jump.
Oh, geez.
4 his rookie year, 15 his second year, and 11 sack leap. And then, of course, the godfather of second-year glow-ups, of course, J.J. Watt, 5.5 to 20.5. So that's obviously godlike. We will never see that again until I'm kidding. Aiden Hutchinson, though, he had 9.5 last year, so it would take a 5.5 sack leap for him to get there, and I think he absolutely could, because I think everything that I've been hearing coming out of Allen Park is he's bigger, he looks more athletic, he's maintained that size, gotten bigger, but maintained that athleticism. He's got better technique, he's more comfortable in the system, and I think that will lead to more consistency because he had some growing pains his rookie year. That cannot be denied. Aiden Hutchinson, believe it or not, had 10 games last season in which he did not record a single sack. And I think this year, that is going to be cut in half. He will be much more consistent, but he will also have a game or two where he pops off for 3, kind of like he did against Washington in the second game of his career. And you look at what Aiden Hutchinson is going to have around him to maybe keep him from being double teamed as much. Listen to this. These are kind of the guys who were expected to be bookend pass rushers last year. James Houston only played in 7 games. Obviously, they probably should have played him sooner, but he only played in 7 games. Romeo Okwara only played in 5. Julian Okwara only played in 10. Charles Harris only played in 6. And John Kaminsky only played in 14. And all of those guys are actually back this year.
Right.
And then you look at the I'm hoping that they are all at least more healthy, especially James Houston. He's going to be there from day one, probably being the edge rusher too. And then you even look at the interior of the defensive line. You drafted Broderick Martin, who I think will help. I think Aleem McNeil will take a leap. I think that Levi Onwuzurike, although I'm not expecting much, will give you something. And they re-signed Isaiah Buggs, and not to be outdone. How about that secondary that is going to be able to keep receivers covered for just a little bit longer so that Aiden Hutchinson can get home? If you remember, need I remind you that last year Aiden Hutchinson was recording sacks with Mike Hughes back there, Jeff Okudah, Juju Hughes, Will Harris, Amani Oruwariye back there. All of those guys took turns starting games for the Detroit Lions, and Aiden Hutchinson was still able to rack up 9.5 sacks. So for all of that, and also another thing that I think is more important than people think, the Detroit Lions are going to play with a lot more leads this season. I think we will all agree with that. So you know what that means? Teams are going to have to throw the ball to come back, and that means that Aiden Hutchinson can just focus on pinning his ears back and killing the opposing team's quarterback.
Yes.
So yes, I have not been willing to take this leap until now, but I am calling it this year. Aiden Hutchinson, 15 sacks. And you know what? I'll even go even further. If he gets 15 sacks in a season, he will be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year in his second year. If you get 15 sacks, you're a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. That's just factual, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're in the I mean, if you're getting 15 plus sacks, say you're going to be in consideration, especially if the Lions are winning. I'm not going to doubt that. Now, I'm glad Sam went first.
I'm proud of you, Sam. I'm proud of you.
Sam drank
the Kool-Aid.
Drank the blue Kool-Aid. You know, it spoke from the heart. And I do believe Aiden will break the record. Now, will he break the record this upcoming season? I think there's a chance. I mean, he had 9.5 this year, you laid it out perfectly, Sam. There's not really much to add. That secondary he had, the help he had on the defensive line. I mean, this year he's got more help, and he's got a better secondary. So, and he's a year older. He is a year longer in the NFL. Things are going to slow down a little bit. And, you know, as being double-teamed as much as he was last year, good luck doing it. Good luck doing it. Imagine a situation where Broderick Martin works out and he's playing, and he
that's a big boy now.
That man is going to demand a double team. All right, he just will. Especially if you have Houston getting loose, like there's more attention. Aiden's going to be able to thrive, I think, in getting 5.5 more sacks.
Yeah, it's not. That's not an insurmountable leap, especially when I told you that he had 10 games in which he had 0.
Right.
He had some growing pains. That's not to be denied. But even during the period where he wasn't playing that well overall, he had a 3-sack game against Washington, and then at the end of the year, when the whole defense was playing better, when he had some of those pieces back, like James Houston, like Romeo Okwara for some games, like Julian Okwara, and even John Kaminsky, and another guy that I didn't even mention, Josh Pascal was another one. He only played 10 games last year, and hopefully he is back healthy and ready to go. So that's my point. As the season went along, he was much, much better, and I think he will have more consistency and more familiarity.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And again, you take into consideration, too, like Romeo Okwara had 10 sacks a couple years ago, and he's already up there on the record book. He's 5 sacks away from Porsche. So think about it. That was 16 games.
Yeah.
16 games, everybody. Factor. This is what now the season's longer. By 1 game, stats are going to get misconstrued. And I think Broder he's been talking to me about this for a while now with 17 games and how he can mess with different statistics. I do think Aiden, you talk about 15 sacks in 17 games, and we're not counting it. If you want to go a sack a game, fine, but you're not mentioning what if he gets 2 in a game.
Yeah.
Hell, he had 3 in a game last year. I think the ceiling, for Aiden Hutchinson, he could definitely get 15 sacks. I don't know if it'll happen this year because even a guy like Joey Bosa, his rookie year had 10.5. The next year had 12.5. He still got better. Obviously, his rookie year, and Joey didn't even play his entire rookie year. But I think if Aiden gets 13, we'll still be happy.
Sure.
He's going to break that record, though, Sam. You're absolutely correct. What about you, Lucas? What do you think for Aiden Hutchinson?
Jeff, me and you are in the same boat, pal. I think Aiden Hutchinson, no doubt, he's going to get that one year, probably even possibility of next year, absolutely. But I think it's going to be the following year that he gets it. I think he's going to have 13, 14, but could easily be wrong. I think just to the point that Flannel is almost bringing up, all these guys are coming back, and I think they are going to have some production, and if they're producing, it's not like Aiden Hutchinson's going to be a non-factor, but I think John Kaminsky had 4 sacks last year, 4.5 sacks. You get 5, 6 this year. Same thing, James Houston. We all expect him to have more sacks, so that's going to take away from Hutchinson.
Right.
So I think Hutchinson's going to be, without a doubt, the best defensive player for the Lions this year.
Yes.
I just don't know if he'll add up to 15 in 2023.
No, that's fair. I mentioned more with the players coming back that it will actually help them because they won't be able to just key in on Hutch every single play because they're going to have a better and more talented edge rushers and defensive line. But that could lead to it too. Aiden Hutchinson could take a huge leap as a player even after having a great rookie year, and the sacks might not reflect everything, but I think they will. I personally think he'll get 15, but maybe he won't.
Well, we're not mad at you for it.
No, and I'll tell you what, we'll go to break when we get back. I want to get Broder and Gabby's opinion on this as well with Aiden, his year 2 jump. Before we do that, Gabby, can you tell everybody at home about our friends over at Randy Wise?
Of course, because our friends down at Randy Wise are going to hook you up with the Wise choice for your next vehicle. Head on down to Randy Wise, let them know that you watched the first episode of the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour at the Woodward Sports YouTube, and register for your chance to win the opportunity to go and play at one of Michigan's finest courses with you and 3 of your buddies, and then afterwards get hooked up with a unreal meal by Fairway Packing Company. Head down to Randy Wise and get yourself into a celebrity level vehicle today.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on the YouTube, have you subscribed yet? You should subscribe. Are you following us on social media? If not, you should follow us. And are you listening via podcast? Then you should download this episode and leave a 5-star review. You got it. And now back to Jeff and Flannel.
Let's keep this Aiden Hutchinson talk going till 9:40, because you know what time it is at 9:40. we'll be discussing whatever Lucas has for us. Maybe we'll throw in a little preseason. We'll go around, check out other games, what we're going to be seeing, because Jordan Love plays as well. Ooh. We'll get to see Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett. We'll get to see some guys this weekend playing, so it'll be exciting, no doubt about it. Football is back to some extent. Preseason's here. And at this point, we'll take what we can get. I'll take preseason. I don't give a damn.
Me and Easy last night, it was 10:30. We were just scrolling through the channels, and it was Minnesota at Seattle. Third time would have been like 5, 6 o'clock. And we were watching live football at 11 at night.
Great.
It's good to be back, baby.
It's good to be back.
Jordan Addison looked good, too. It was kind of scary. Not going to lie.
Did he have one catch for 20 yards?
But he had one catch for 20 yards, but the drive before that, they called it incomplete, and he had this nasty toe drag that when they went back and reviewed it, it was very complete.
Good, man.
It was very complete.
That's
it was definitely a completed pass.
That's one thing. Minnesota, I think, will stink, or not. Maybe not stink, but they will not be as good as people think. But Jordan Addison, they got a dude. They got a good wide receiver core right now.
Their offense will be okay, but they're not gonna be able to stop a nosebleed defensively.
Yeah,
I agree with you,
damn
Lucas.
thing.
I agree. Yeah, that's the problem. But I want to continue the Aiden Hutchinson conversation here, breaking Porsche's record of 15 sacks. What do you guys think? Gabby, can you do it? 15. We had 9.5 last year, 17 games. You think Aiden's primed to do it this season, or maybe in a couple of years? Not just right away.
I think he'll get really close to it. But you have to remember, there's so much room for growth here. I'm not worried about a sophomore slump for him whatsoever. He's proven that already in camp, that's not going to be happening for him. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten faster. He's gotten bigger. And it's across the board, and multiple people are saying that, so it's definitely confirmed. And is this the year for 15? I mean, I would love for him to prove the rest of us wrong and prove Sam right, but time will tell, and I don't think if it's going to happen this year that it will happen the next. I do see him breaking that record.
What about you, brother?
If I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would take the over. I think he's got it in this year, and it's more about the pieces around him that not only they've added but have also developed. The development of that defensive line, the defensive tackles in there, and their focus on being able to stop the run significantly better than last year, I think will lead to a lot more 3rd and longs, a lot more passing situations, on top of the fact that if we expect the Lions to be winning, there are going to be more passing by the opposing team later on in the game. So with those pieces around him, I think the sky's the limit for Aiden Hutchinson. And that's nothing against Robert Porsche, who was the dude. I also think, talking about these records, like you mentioned, we've got an extra game, so he does have a 17th game to get another sack. Back in that day, too, the offenses were a lot more run heavy. So just whether he gets 15 this year or not, moving forward, the amount of passing that's in the NFL game, he's gonna get up there, and he's gonna have a special career, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And again, I think the biggest X factor of that defensive line is James Houston. Like, I don't know what to expect out of him. Like, I really don't. Like, I know last year he was getting about a sack a game, which, if you want to go off that data, we'll book him for 20 sacks then, I guess. But I don't know how to feel about James Houston. I know, for Aiden, and you look at other defensive lines, guys that have teams that have elite defensive lines, you get two dudes that are threats, right, that can kind of play off of each other. We kind of expect that it's going to be James Houston, but I don't know, Sam Flannel. That's a tough guy to read. I don't know what to expect out of him. I think if we get another 8-9 sacks, I'm okay with that. But people would think that James, and they're optimistic, and I love it, he can get 12, 13, 14 sacks for James Houston. Yeah, and at that rate, we'll break the franchise record for sacks entirely.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about James Houston. He was a 6th-round pick that had as amazing he had 8 sacks in 7 games. He had more sacks per game than Nick Bosa did last year.
That's insane.
But I don't think he's ever going to be that level. I don't know if that was an anomaly. I think he's going to be very, very good. I think his floor for this season, I think he's going to get between 7 and 11. I think that's about the range that James Houston is going to live in, and that would be really, really good. I think there's going to be more on his plate this year. He was more of a pass rush specialist last year, and he didn't even play the whole season. He was fresh, going up against some tired legs on those offensive linemen. Not to discredit him, but I think Aiden Hutchinson will be the clear star of this defense, particularly of this pass rush. Because when you see somebody have that great of a season, have basically in terms of sacking the quarterback only, he looked like prime Derek Thomas, Lawrence Taylor out there by the numbers, but he's not that. We all know he's not that. But if he is, he's gonna be one of the best edge rushers of all time and a Hall of Famer. That's why I would agree with you. As much as he was great last year, I think there is an element of unknown to James Houston, whether or not that was just the mirage of all mirages, or if he's actually going to be very, very good. I would tend to lean towards really, really good, but never a guy you see getting 15 sacks in a season.
And Eric Allen, Sam pointed out so eloquently, earlier.
Thank you.
Go.
Wow, Eric. Okay. With the take that the Lions will be up more often than not, giving them the opportunities to get 15 plus. I think that's a great point as well. Yeah. They're playing with the lead. Aiden Hutchinson's, pin your ears back and go get him.
And don't sleep on Charles Harris. I think James Houston still is a wild card. He's still developing. Was that you, Lucas?
Yeah, he's napping on James. He's napping on Charles Harris.
Charles Harris has not only improved, but just being back and being a consistent force opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Whether James Houston earns more snaps, early in the season versus later in the season is to be determined. But Charles Harris, he's played really well this training camp, and that consistency on the quarterback's blind side is going to be important for Aiden.
I like this comment too. Rye says, don't sleep on a core either. Romeo, I'm assuming, because we don't really know what to expect out of Romeo. He's kind of, he's coming off that Achilles injury, and he had to get it kind of redone, which was terrible. But the fact that he's still here, and that's a guy who, again, 10 sacks in his best season, which is up there for the Lions franchise record. Think about that for a second. It's not. Oh my God, Lucas, are you still sleeping? Are you sleeping on Charles Harris like that? What's going on?
Lucas.
Sam Laporta.
Okay.
We're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. This is ridiculous.
Charles Harris.
Charles Harris. Okay.
Great guy. First one in, last one out mentality.
Oh, gosh. Type of guy you want your daughter to do.
Yeah.
All right. Keep sleeping.
I will.
Keep sleeping on Charles.
James Houston is just a freak athlete. That's the thing where it's like there's an unknown element to him. But at the same time, the one thing you do know from watching him last year is the man is an absolute wild card off the edge that you can't game plan for. Like, there's not all right, to stop James Houston, this is how you slow him down. Because his flexibility, Jeff, I think as you said at one time, is bendability.
The bendability.
The bendability of James Houston and his burst. There's no way to game plan for that. And I think regardless if he's coming second, third down, he's going to have a couple games where he has multiple sacks again. Just because we talk about when you get in the third, fourth quarter and you've just had Aiden Hutchinson on one side, then you have this rotation of Kaminsky, Harris, Aquara. Now you put in James Houston. That's a completely different style of pass rusher. So I still think he's going to be very productive.
Yeah, and there's going to have to be some guys that get squeezed out of this rotation. Mm-hmm. And I think Charles Harris, to be honest with you, I think he's one of them. I mean, because you look at Pascal coming back, and I think he's going to be a big part of it. We don't know what to expect out of him. He could be really good. Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, Romeo, Julian, like these guys, all the depth you have. Levi now coming back, like Charles Harris, and Broder's right. He had 7.5 sacks, like just 2 years ago. But there's a lot of talent now.
Yeah.
Like that, it is. But this is a great problem to have. It's the same thing I brought up with Tracy Walker. Him on the second team. Like, yeah, everybody falls in love with a certain player, but welcome to being a good team. You upgrade at positions and guys get squeezed out. It's just how it works.
Yeah, and Lucas,
I don't make the rules.
You know, I love numbers, right?
We all do, Flannel. Trust me.
I'm actually
the numbers man.
Yes, I am the numbers man. I'm actually going to further your point on Charles Harris. Although I respect the hell out of what he did in 2021 on a terrible defense. In 2021, he had 7.5 sacks. and all 5 of his other seasons combined, 7.5 sacks.
Ooh.
I think that there's a chance that Charles Harris can make somewhat of an impact, Broder, but I think the numbers dictate that he was a one-year wonder, because if you remember, Charles Harris was a first-round draft bust. He was a disaster in Miami, didn't do shit in Atlanta, and then came to Detroit on sort of a prove-it deal, and actually was very, very good.
He was
their
a
best
something.
pass.
He was a something.
He was, but
he
like
went from a nothing to a something.
But how often do you see these one-year wonders that just pop off for? I mean, 7.5 1 year, his other 5 years combined 7.5. That to me sounds like a mirage. No disrespect, Broder, but like
no, that's fine. I don't think he's going to have more than 7 or 8, maybe 9 sacks. I think it's more of that dependability on the other side of the line, kind of what Kaminsky brought last year when he played edge, and it's not about the sack numbers. It's more about containment. It's more about doing his responsibility to control that side of the line. So I'm not calling for Harris to take some massive statistical jump, but I just think his play and his veteran play will help Aiden.
No, it's well said, Broder.
Yeah.
I get what you're like. Jesse even agrees. He says it's funny how Lucas / people love James Houston for those sacks, but Charles Harris had more sacks than James did in that 1 year. Charles Harris can also play the run. James Houston can't do that.
He has a point about Charles Harris being able to play the run, but the reason why we're talking about James Houston as a pass rusher is because there's not really a guy that the Detroit Lions have ever had as far as off the edge like James Houston, as far as just a complete wild card.
Yeah.
Like Charles Harris, I'm sorry, there's nothing that you're like, oh wow. Charles Harris, wow. James Houston, you're like, oh my God. Like, how is he doing? There's something to get excited about with James Houston, and especially as a rookie. Like, this is Charles Harris' 3rd or 4th year of, like, well, later than that, what, Flannel? Like, probably year 6 or 7 at this point, where it's just like, okay, he's solid. James Houston, you saw flashes of wow with James Houston. That's why people get so excited.
And, I mean, it's clear when you watch James Houston, I mean, you see that Skip to Malou, the thing he hit on. What was that?
Ray for Alston.
That was in the what was the Jags game? That's what it was. Where he hit that nasty, and he like bent Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence's career. Right there. I'm surprised. Look, I want to point out something. The fact that Trevor Lawrence came back from that and then went on that tear the rest of the season.
Dude,
T-Law's got that dog in him.
I thought he was out for the season. I was about ready to I mean, as much as I was happy that the Lions were dominating that game, when I saw that Trevor Lawrence go down, I'm like, this dude's out for the season. He might be out for the first part of next year. He might be a bust after all.
That was like James Houston channeling his inner like Brian Dawkins, like, I'm gonna take his soul. Like that's like standing over him.
That's a good one.
Yeah, like he wants to take that man's soul.
Thank you, Lord.
Hallelujah. I love Brian Dawkins. Favorite safety ever to watch. It's truly, man. Go whenever I'm bored, I'll go back and watch Brian Dawkins highlights. It's like a weird thing of mine.
Him,
it's funny.
Steve Smith.
Yeah,
best Mike
another
Buck.
one.
Hey Jeff, can I respond? I know we're late for a break,
No,
but I gotta
talk to me.
respond
What's up,
to
Sam?
one thing that Booner said, and I actually I get why you're asking this question. I just think it's a very clear answer. If we are going to sleep on Harris and Romeo for having those 1 to 2 good years, how are we so confident James Houston didn't have that one great year? Here's why I think it's different with James Houston.
He's a rookie.
You brought up the skill set. That is exactly what I was going to say. You saw Charles Harris be absolutely terrible as a first-round draft pick. You saw Romeo Okwara come out and not really do a whole lot until that 10-sack season. With James Houston, he came right out of the gate swinging with 8 sacks in 7 games. I'm a really, really big fan of those guys that you see on day one just have at least stretches of dominance. Charles Harris and Romeo Okwara both did. I mean, they came in very unheralded. I think Romeo Okwara was even undrafted, and Charles Harris was a bust. There's levels to this.
As Jeff said yesterday, that guy didn't stop coming. He just kept coming, James Houston. There was no way. Like once he started playing, he was just consistently making plays in the backfield on the quarterback.
Just quote me with that.
Hit it one more time, Broder.
This guy will not stop coming.
Hey, it's a drop. It's a drop.
JB
Right.
did you dirty, Jeff.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go to break. I'm sick of you.
You okay? You sick of me?
Well, it came out.
That was Broder
It
that
came
hit-
out of my mouth. So
We can clip that one up too. You just did yourself again.
Sam, tell me about
help Jeff out.
Tell me about Swiss Insurance right now, please,
Swiss
so we can get the hell out of here.
Insurance. And now that
Son of a
summer's
bitch.
here, it is definitely. It is important to make sure you are properly covered, whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool. Your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check us out at swissins.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
Again.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Very simple question, but there's a very simple answer. It's you want to win a $100K Vegas getaway, and you can take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today and you're entered to win the $100K Vegas getaway at drinkcintron.com/Vegas and buy Cintron at your local Meijer store. drinkcintron.com/Vegas. Now let me tell you about the friends of the Academy Award.
Double.
We gotta pay the bills, fellas. Let me tell you about our friends of the Academy Award because, guys, they got a brand new state-of-the-art facility, a sports dome field house that has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, and soccer field. Also has 7-on-7 football. K-8 athletics features free breakfast and lunch, academic games, and like I mentioned, K-8 athletics. Don't forget, Ermanni Networks will be broadcasting with Maz from their carnival on August 24th. Come meet the staff and explore your child's new school. Academy Award is now enrolling. Go to academyaward.net and get your child signed up. All right.
There we go. Bills have been paid.
All right. Now let's get to what's trending with Lucas. And today we're going to spend time breaking down some of this preseason action.
Oh, yeah. So, Lions play tonight, obviously. We're going to hear some forward on the field. Can't wait for that. But going around the NFL, I'll read off some of these games. And we'll read off tomorrow's. So, tomorrow, which games are you most likely to watch?
Oh, I'll go first.
You got one?
Yeah.
Then go for it.
Jordan Love. I want to see Jordan Love. This is like the biggest mystery to me, man.
Who do they play?
They play the Bengals. And I know Jordan Love will be out there. And again, they have at least Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and company. They'll be out there to some extent. I need to see Jordan Love. I got this itch. Because I've seen Jordan Love, but in a small sample size. I need to see this man in action. I know it's preseason, but just to watch Jordan Love, to see who the Lions are going to be facing this year, I want to see what kind of jump he's made. So I would say I'm most excited to see Jordan Love out of all these games. What about you, Sam?
Ooh, do the Steelers play?
Oh yeah, they actually I think have a good matchup. I'll find exactly who the Steelers play for you. They play the Bucks, so they're going to be playing against Baker Mayfield and try his Kyle Trask competition.
Ooh.
Battle for QB1, baby.
Oh man, so
Florida quarterback legend Kyle Trask.
I got a little bit annoyed with the people who were getting too excited about a guy like Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett, he did a couple things at the end of the year that really irritated me. So he got to watch his defense hold teams to 13 points and 10 points, not do shit the whole game, and then have that one drive at the end and everyone is just like, oh my God, Kenny Pickett, he might only have 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, but he's just clutch. He's got ice water in his veins. It may have helped that the defense was holding them to 13 and 10 points. So I want to see if he's actually real or if he is just one of those good defense merchants, which he showed last year, because that's all he was. Kenny Pickett sucked.
Kenny Pickett sucked.
He sucked.
You think?
Okay, sucked.
Oh no, let's
I don't.
Jesus, Glenn. What do you have against Kenny Pickett?
I think sucked is a little aggressive, but he wasn't like. I know people act like Kenny was impressive last year. Like, I don't know about that. There's a lot of work for Kenny Pickett to do, but I wouldn't say he like sucked completely. I mean, they
were winning games.
Yeah, they won some games.
Well, Flannel. Okay, I'm not saying that the man was going out there playing like Patrick Mahomes or prime Aaron Rodgers, because that's obviously gone. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. The Jets I'm talking about, but I think Kenny Pickett went out there and was serviceable.
He was,
and as a rookie quarterback, like. He didn't have the best O-line. I think they upgraded that. Deontay Johnson was kind of having an off-season. George Pickens was playing very well, and I think that's kind of what his life support was. Najee Harris was kind of
He blows.
Yeah, me and you were both on the same thing as Najee Harris. Me and you cannot stand Najee whatsoever. Jalen Warren's the best back there, but he did okay.
Jaylen Warren, dude.
You know I'm a Jaylen Warren
I know.
guy. By the end of 2023, Jaylen Warren will be their starting running back, or at least they'll have a 1-2 punch where they're going to use Jaylen Warren between the tackles and Najee as like the running back or the receiving back.
I think they do. I think it's not. It shouldn't be a Najee 100%. It should be all Najee, even though I like Najee. But for Kenny Pickett, I think we can all agree this is a huge year.
Yeah.
He's got all the weapons. He's got an upgraded offensive line. Go out and perform. Like, there's no, like, he comes out and struggles. Well, he looks better. No, go out and perform. Like, that's it for Kenny Pickett. I don't need to wait 4 years to see Kenny Pickett. You got everything you need. Go do it. That's it.
I didn't see this game. I'm actually excited. I think if I had to pick one, I was going to go with Colts and Bills because I want to see Anthony Richardson. But I just want to see one drive of Dak against Trevor Lawrence. The Jags and the Cowboys. Ooh. And the Jags had Cowboys numbered recently. So I think I want to see Dak with his new offense, see how he performs with a new offensive coordinator. And no Zeke. They're just going to be pounding Tony Pollard apparently. But I don't know if we're going to see a lot of it. But just one drive of Dak and an interception. Tyson Campbell will probably pick it off. So I'm excited to watch that. And Anthony Richardson will be a good one too. They go into the Bills tomorrow at 1. But Broder, you have anybody you're excited to see? Gabby, you too?
I agree with Jeff. I think I just want to see Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
We just haven't seen him enough. He's like the Loch Ness Monster. I just want to see what he looks like.
Oh, who said? Cornelia said pounding who? Question mark. Ayo. What did you say? Did you say something?
Yeah. I said pounding Tony Pollard. Probably not the best choice of words there.
Okay, clip that.
No.
Hashtag pounding Pollard.
Me and JB are the deciders on that one.
Oh, okay.
We decide what gets clipped.
All my quotes get clipped.
Precisely.
That's just how it works, I guess.
When you're Hollywood, that's what happens. We got to get all your best quotes.
Of course.
Do we think Will Levis is going to get some reps in tomorrow?
Yeah, that's another one. Will Levis.
Your boy, Gabby.
The man who puts mayo in his coffee.
My boy.
I mean, he probably will. They're going to have to. They'll probably play a bunch. Him and Malik Willis both. I doubt they'll even throw Willis. They won't even throw Tannehill out there, I bet. Maybe for like a drive or something, but I bet it's going to be a Malik Willis and Will Levis show. So I'm interested to see how Treylon Burks does, too.
Malik frickin' Willis, man.
Oh, man.
I get, like, triggered every time I hear that name because it's funny. Last year, or 2 years ago, when Malik Willis was in the conversation, and I just looked back, and, funny enough, last night I was watching some old content, and I went back and watched some old Woodward sports stuff, and we were reacting to, like, mock drafts, but, like, not just mock drafts by the fans, but, like, guys that are in the media business, like, big time, ESPN, Fox Sports, and they had Malik at, like, 6 to Carolina. Like, they had Malik going top 10, and, now you know how that worked out.
Remember when they traded up, or not traded up, when the Lions were at 2? Or when we traded up for J-Mo, I should say.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, it's Malik Willis time.
I was nervous. I was like, are they about to take Malik Willis?
That's the bullet,
and I'm
man.
Thank God they took Jameson Williams. Jesus.
Did you know Javier Baez's nickname, El Mago? Jay Cruz in the chat just goes, Will Levis, El Mayo.
Hey.
El Mayo.
mayonnaise in his coffee. And you know what, man? I really hate to extend these segments and make late breaks again. But Booner, you really pissed me off again because this one, I cannot let this one slide because he mentions Kenny Pickett's record. The Steelers were 7-2 to end the year. He was really leading that team. So the good news is I was able to bring up Kenny Pickett's game log.
Oh God.
In no game that Kenny Pickett won as a starter did his defense give up more than 20 points. In no game that Kenny Pickett quarterbacked the Steelers to a win did he throw more than 1 touchdown pass. It's people like you who are just kind of like, oh my God, Kenny Pickett was actually playing pretty well. He's clutch. He's leading the team. No, wrong. 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Did Kenny Pickett send TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick and Alex Highsmith and Cameron Hayward motivational texts before the game, give them a nice ass pat before they went out there?
No, but
was that what happened?
He didn't get in the way, though. That's what I think. That's out of a rookie quarterback. You expect rookie quarterbacks to make rookie mistakes and kind of hurt your team, and Kenny Pickett did not have a lot of those. Now, did he make mistakes? Yes. But was he sinking the ship of the team? No. The Steelers were about to have Mike Tomlin's first sub-500 season, and then they got it together, and Kenny Pickett was keeping the team away from going down a bad road. And that's why I think specifically Pittsburgh fans are hyping him up a bunch, and people around the league could be like, he could be something. I thought he was below mid, but he wasn't ass last year. Like,
okay, but
you have some disdain for him or something.
All right, hold on.
Yeah,
let's go to break. All right, we'll get back. We'll get to mailbag because there are some things I want to address in the chat here. But before we do that, Sam, can you tell everybody about our friends over at Planet Fitness?
Oh, yes, Planet Fitness.
You're going to need it, Flannel.
I am certainly going to need it. But, you know, who wants any of this smoke? I'm sure none of you in the chat do.
Kenny Pickett might.
Hey, Kenny Pickett could actually probably kick my ass because he's an NFL player. But you know what? I will go down trying with these guns, these Planet Fitness-made guns. And Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You will get all of this for only $10 a month. Yes, we are still only $10 a month. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of physical and mental wellness, which is why we have invited teens between the ages of 14 and 19 to work out free all summer long with our high school summer pass program. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness.
Like Kenny Pickett, see it.
Where your fitness is essential.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We appreciate you for tuning in, choosing us this morning. Could have been anywhere else, but you're here on the Morning Woodward Show. Don't forget, hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We're almost to 47,000 subscribers. We're going to keep climbing, chasing 50K. That's the plan. 50K. And with the help of everybody at home today, we're able to have as many subscribers as we have. So we thank you for that. Don't forget, you can catch the live stream or listen to the live stream on any podcast platform you listen to. Leave a 5-star review. Morning Woodward Show. Let's get to some of these questions for Mailbag. Let's see. Datboy Roy, Mailbag. Who do you think will be a surprise player that is going to ball out tonight? I'm gonna say Dylan Drummond. I think he's gonna come out there, play the most snaps, but I think he'll go out there and produce. Because it's preseason, and again, guys, I brought this up. Just because I say Dylan Drummond will perform doesn't mean I'm on Ross St. Brown. I mean, like Trinity Benson performed. I'm just saying, if we're talking realistically, I think Dylan Drummond picks up right where he left off.
I mean, both things can be true. I think Dylan Drummond could be this year's preseason MVP, but that doesn't change the fact that he was mid at EMU and he was undrafted. That's for Dave. That's for Dave Schultz and that Shad character or whatever, who never has said one nice thing about me. All those things are true. But yeah, Dylan Drummond, he is definitely a candidate. Maybe Muhammad Ibrahim. Those are two, I think, candidates for preseason MVPs. And who knows, both of them could make a roster spot. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Mo Ibrahim makes it and Benny Snell gets cut.
Let's see. Zachary Mailbag, if you believe they'll play a lot of Nate Sudfeld to see if they could trade him, no, I don't think you'll be able to trade Nate Sudfeld. Yeah, that ain't a trade. I think
he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going nowhere?
No, he's such a valuable addition to that quarterback room, just helping Goff prepare for game days, all the game plan stuff that they put in. He's important.
Coach Walk 37, Mailbag, Lucas, when you were growing up in Toledo, have you always been a Lions fan, or were you a Browns or Bengals fan? And where was that Chris Hansen commercial? And I'll speak on the Chris Hansen thing. That was filmed prior with back when it was Stick, Joey. They went up there and filmed that Chris Hansen thing, which was hilarious. Most random thing. Chris Hansen just on vacation in Michigan. They ran into him. But that's the backstory of the Chris Hansen stuff. But Lucas, Browns or Bengals fan?
Play. I was trying to get it to play. But, no, I've always been a Lions fan. I've never been able to tolerate Browns fans. I don't even know that many Bengals fans. But, yeah, Toledo, honestly, is full of, Lions and Steelers fans, honestly. If you're not living in Cleveland, you really don't like the Browns because they suck and their fans are obnoxious alcoholics for the most part, at least in my experience. So, yeah, I've always been a Lions fan, Kelvin was my favorite player growing up. My dad was a Lions fan. My brother was a Lions fan. So it all just kind of passed down to me, unfortunately, but it looks better days now.
Yeah, Dre says, Mailbag, chances Aleem McNeil plays the Pro Bowl level. Plays at a Pro Bowl level this year. I don't know. I don't know if Aleem McNeil. We got to watch with the Pro Bowl crowning for every guy in the roster because again, not every player can be a Pro Bowl. This isn't the Eagles. Could be, but I don't think it will be. I think Aleem McNeil can be a serviceable, above average, solid defensive tackle, but a Pro Bowl, maybe he makes one or two, but I don't know, Sam. You got so many guys that I think are Pro Bowlers. I can't, Aleem a Pro Bowler, Levi a Pro Bowler. Like, Aleem McNeil, I think will be fine. But Pro Bowl level, I don't know.
All right, for the record, I don't think a single soul here ever said Levi Onwuzurike was a Pro Bowler. Aleem,
Hell no.
No, I'm just saying as an example. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but Aleem, I don't think. Maybe he could make one kind of an anomaly, but I think even if he doesn't play at Pro Bowl level, if he just continues to be solid against the run and adds more interior pass rush and opens things up a bit for guys like Hutch and Houston, that's a win. But Pro Bowl, he doesn't have to. He'll be just fine even if he doesn't.
Let's see. Caston Reed, mailbag. I named my son Stafford. If the Lions win the North in a playoff game, do I have to change his name to Goff? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I would change that name regardless.
No. Listen, Lucas, and he has his own deep-rooted hate for Stafford for whatever reason. Like add another deep in there as well.
It was just 4 to 5 years of pain that I didn't need to endure if we just would have got rid of the guy after his rookie contract.
Well, it's funny that Lucas, out of all the crap that went wrong with his organization, he blamed the only good thing we had.
Man, Lucas.
That's typical.
No.
That's typical from Lucas.
No,
But
the Lions needed to make a move, and they were acting like Stafford was the move, and obviously he was not. But
yeah.
What do I know besides ball?
You know what? If only Matthew Stafford could have sprinkled that magic winning dust that Kenny Pickett sprinkled on the 2022 Steelers.
It would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, because Kenny Pickett had
or
nothing
at least win
to do.
the division one time or a playoff game. That's all I'm asking. It's not like you had Kelvin Johnson, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll move on.
Oh, I love this comment too. Mailbag, man, guy, friend, bro. Typical Jeff exploiting something for what it isn't. I don't. Yeah.
Keep it moving, Jeff.
Yeah. Just get back to me when you kind of clear that statement up. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Cody Reed, Stroud and Stafford hate. Why does Lucas hate good QBs?
I don't. I get very annoyed with overrated QBs like Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. I thought that's what Stafford was when he was in Detroit.
Well, man, guy, friend, bro is on your side. Only good thing we had, LOL, the anchor that could never win us a game. Yeah, man, guy. Yeah, I mean, the man had I would say a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame GM, Hall of Fame players, right? That's how that works.
One playoff win. That's all we were asking for. You're pick number one. You're asked to win a Super Bowl to begin with, but then when you're surrounded with that much talent and you can't win a playoff game, I don't want to watch you for 8-9 years. I'm sorry. I want to move on and win a playoff game.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Especially when
Stafford,
you're paid as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, and then the year Stafford leaves, they win a Super Bowl. So it's crazy how that works out.
Put him around in a great system.
That they failed to build around him in Detroit. But anyway,
to win a playoff game, if you can win a Super Bowl in LA, and you can't win a playoff game in Detroit.
Listen, I don't make the rules. Listen, I don't.
Stafford sure as hell doesn't either.
It is what it is. I just want to say, though, thank you to everybody for subscribing, for tuning in, for sharing love to the stream. We appreciate you. Don't forget, before you leave, hit the like button. We'll be live on Monday to recap this weekend. And again, man, guy, friend, bro. I don't know why you got so much hate in your heart, but I love you, man. Just remember that, okay?
Head to Dispo, man. I'll get you right.
Because he says, nah, Jeff was cool. He changed. Okay, well.
Damn.
Apparently, do I know man, guy, friend, bro, like in real life? Like, this guy apparently thinks I've changed. Maybe.
Maybe it's like Jake. It's Jake's burner.
Yeah, is he maybe like a crazy, like, I don't know. I don't know who he is. But again, we appreciate you, man, guy, friend, bro, for tuning into the stream. Even if you hate me. What?
And commenting. Great.
Yeah, and commenting. Even if
algorithm, baby.
Even if he woke up and just decided to hate, we still love you for tuning in. We really do. And again, guys, Friday today, I'll be out at the game with a lot of people from Woodward Sports. So come say hi if you see us. It'll be a lot of fun today. But until Monday, we'll see you guys.